Welcome to an unadvertised, unexpected, only the most diehard of fans, Normal America with robnoerr episode. A call-in show. Now, here's what's going on. I was going to stream tonight, but I think that we're going to take Hank over to some relatives' place and we're going to have like a board game night. And I didn't want to be rushed getting back tonight in order to stream. So I thought, well, I got some time now before we leave. And I hadn't done a call in show since Wednesday due to scheduling business and whatever. So why not just do a daytime call in show? Plus, it's easier for me because then my audience is like half the content. So it's less stuff I have to come up with. Also, I'll announce this later as well. I think unless it's a special event like a debate or something like that, if I stream on Saturdays, it is going to be during the day. Because there's another problem now I have streaming Saturday evening. Can anyone guess what it is? There is a problem that I have streaming to the wee hours starting Saturday night and then streaming into the wee hours of Sunday. I'm starting to realize a problem. And that problem is I'm too tired at church. If I'm going to go to church every Sunday morning, I don't want to be up streaming till 3 or 4, you know? So I'm like, yeah, you know what? It makes sense on Saturdays then if I'm going to stream to do a daytime stream. Yeah, see, Epoch gets it. So yeah, that's the plan. I'm going to do some daytime streaming on Saturdays. The chair wants to stream instead. Not a bad idea. Look, I've been doing good on the algorithm here on YouTube. So I hesitate to do any stupid streams like with the chair. Because even though my lunatic fan base would be like, haha, this is funny. I feel like new people coming in be like, what is this channel? It's just a chair. We're just watching a chair. That's it. That's the channel. So probably hold off on any chair stream. Dodgers lost last night. I haven't been following baseball. I don't even know who's still in it. Dodgers Brewers? Is that the National League? And then who's the American League? Let me guess. I don't even know. I actually have no clue who the American League teams would be. So I know I've been streaming a lot. Naughty Germ, thanks so much, man. Dodgers Blue Jays. Oh, it's already the. Well, there you go. I didn't even know that. Naughty Germ, thank you so much for the $5. Really appreciate it. Really do. Man, I don't know who I'd root for. Dodgers Blue Jays. On one hand, go America, right? On the other hand, screw the Dodgers. It seems like every year they just spend money to win. One second. Hello? Yes, sir. Yes. No, I see. Yeah, I'll ban them. Yeah, yeah. Shalom. Thank you. Bye. Uh-huh. Oh, man. What a good day I had yesterday. Last night, fun stream. If you missed it, joined Verbal Combat for a little over an hour. That was fun. Topics were, I don't know. I think last night was a good example of debate. Oh, Infected Mushroom. Congratulations, man, buying your first home. Please, save your money. Look, let me tell you something about buying a home. Like, I've bought 2 homes in my life. One was $6,000, which I had to finance even that $6,000. The other is the current home I'm in, which is less than $100,000 home. And I don't own it outright. I'm going to be paying a mortgage for quite some time, probably. There's always unexpected expenses, man. Really. If you're moving from renting to owning, it's surreal. The little things that you just never think about that you got to deal with without, like cleaning your gutters. There's always something going wrong. There's some appliance that's gonna. Sorry, I heard my son there. Uh, so I mean, yeah. So save your money, get your effects in order, get rich, and then send me all of your extra money once you're rich. Brilliant. Now for the rest of you cretins, though. I'm just kidding. You're not cretins. We will try to hit our goal of $357 today. It is scary and exciting. You know, growing up, that was something that we were. I mean, I think my dad probably never made more than like 40,000 a year, and my mom occasionally worked, but basically not. So, let's say maybe as a house of most of the time while I was there was a house of four, and then my brother is 14 years younger than me came along. Then it was a house of five, and then my sister's 20 years younger than me. By the time she came along, I was out of the house. So five people. Um, on about $50,000. We had problems not paying bills, but the scary thing was always the mortgage. That was always, and that stuck with me and will always stick with me. If you can't pay the cable bill, or like now it would be the internet bill, whatever, then you lose cable, you lose the internet, you know? But man, if you lose that house, that's everything you worked for. And that was a real conversation in my house growing up. How are we gonna pay the mortgage? I mean, that happened a lot, and it's always stuck with me. And I'm very bad with money. I don't really care or pay attention that much. My wife takes care of almost everything, so it's like from the moment I was dating, when I started dating my wife, I mean, it was probably a month, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. You could use my debit card. I don't give a shit as long as I'm paying the bills. Then it's all right, you know. And that's still me to this day. Is that mortgage paid? It's paid. Okay. The rest of the stuff we can make work, but it was weird. So I can only imagine. I can only imagine folks that grew up and had trouble with housing. How much that could affect you, because for me that's still a fear that I have, and I remember growing up what that was like when the end of the month came, and you couldn't afford that mortgage payment, and you're like, oh, you know, we never had a car payment really growing up because we always had old beater cars. This was before cash for clunkers, so you could go out and buy $1,000 car that would drive. But the mortgage payment, man, that was serious, So, but that was it growing up. I didn't miss many meals or anything like that. But there was a lot, and I love my mom and dad. I think they're absolutely the greatest. But as great as they were, and as much as I think they love each other, it doesn't matter how strong. Uh, well, I won't say that. Financial problems could test even the best of relationships. They really can. Like, it's it's easy to be like, oh, me and my wife, we rarely argue, and right. But when you're talking financial problems, it's a different thing. The stress that induces, uh, it could be very significant, and it could really put a lot of strain on people's relationships. I've seen it in many situations. So me and my wife always try to stay within our means as much as possible. I mean, we're stupid too. I mean, I spent what, $8,000, $9,000 trying to run for Congress that I put on credit cards. Talk about a frivolous expense. Yeah, elbows down. Hopefully my house will be paid off well before uh, the mortgage is due, or due to end. So, uh, Angry MPT says my parents were so worried about not having enough to retire, and they died without being able to use all that money because of cancer. But I think it was a post-depression issue. As long as you have a roof. Yeah, I mean, that's the other thing. I don't have a lot of advice, like financial advice and things like that. But one thing I can say is that worrying about money too much after you have your necessities taken care of, you know, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's like I said the other day, my mom used to joke about me all the time. She's like, you're the only person I know that could like live the rest of your life just on a couch eating ramen noodles every day. And it's true. Now it's different. Now I have a family. So I want to provide for them, and I want them to have a better life. And I'll keep pushing. I'll keep pushing and pushing and pushing. you know, but not to the point where it's like that I'm miserable or that I never get to spend time with them or anything like that. So yeah, Dave Ramsey, I enjoy thoroughly. I really do. But I'm not here to give anyone financial advice like here's where to put your money or here's what to do. Never. You're never going to hear me doing that stuff. Uh but I will just say in general, don't be miserable because you're like, "Oh, I'm just going to be miserable and never spend anything until I retire," because you never know what could happen. You just don't know. There's you know, there's a middle ground between like, "Oh, I'm just going to piss all my money away on payday and I'm never going to spend a dime. I'm just going to save and save and save and save for retirement." There's a middle ground, I think. It's very smart to save, but you got to have fun. So I don't know. I've seen it, man. I've seen people that are like that. I've seen the people both ends of that. I've seen the people that are just like they can't save as soon as they get that paycheck, man, it's gone in a day. And then for the next like 13 days till the next paycheck comes, they're bumming money and I've seen that. And then I've seen the people that just never spend a dime and they're just miserable. There's a middle ground. But I don't know what it is. So don't don't ask me for advice. Uh Dave Ramsey, though, he's interesting. What's that other guy's name now? Caleb something? He's a little more abrasive is the word, I guess. He'll tell people they're dumbasses and stuff. Caleb Hammer, is that his name? Yeah. Yeah, those illegals that were on there the other day. And they're oh, we don't pay taxes and we owe this and this and this. Yeah, yeah, see Naughty Germ gets it. I don't know, man. I'd look great in Wall Street with the suit going up to the top of the tower with champagne. It ain't me. Look, one thing about me, I can pretty much fit in with any group. Uh, I can hang out with like the wealthy people, and my clothes don't look good. Maybe have to put something a little better than the Dale Earnhardt shirt on. But I could do it. I can hang out with that crowd. But my people are not those people. Those aren't my people. That's not who I want to be with. I like the toothless redneck crowd. That's my crowd. I don't know. It'll never change. I'm not saying if you're like, but Rob, I enjoy watching you, and I'm a ridiculous millionaire that spends all of my time on yachts. To that, I say, send money. And also, no, I'm sure you're awesome, and I'm sure we would have fun, and it would be my pleasure to hang out with you. However, I like this way of life. I just do. And it's something I say all the time about Congress. Truly, when I ran for Congress, truly from the bottom of my heart, I mean this. And I don't know if people believe me or not. I don't want to spend time in DC. I don't want to spend that much time in any city. I don't. I like where I'm at. And if I move, I'm going to move to an area that's not in the city to the best of my ability. If forced to, if I have to for work, live in like a city type environment, I guess I could. But this is truly what I like. It just is. Uh, I ran for Congress in District 12 in Pennsylvania in 2019. Let's see if there's any article. I talk about this all the time. I don't know if people believe me or not. What? It can't be found. Maybe on the Wayback Machine. Let's see. Archive.is has been really, really terrible lately. There we go. Well, I'm going to look real stupid if it wasn't District 12. I think they redistrict all the time, but I think it was 12. There we go. Robnoerr seeks nomination for House seat. Wow, look at that guy. Robnoerr of Freiburg, Clarion County, I don't live there anymore, but has announced that he's seeking the Republican nomination for District 12 congressional seat in the May 21st special election. Noerr, 34, wow, what a young man. Shit, 7 years. It's been 7 years since then. Said if he's selected as the Republican nominee in the special election, he plans to move into District 12 immediately. Born in Katanning, Noerr's lived in rural Pennsylvania his whole life. He's a residential and counselor employed by that place, a home health care business, a graduate of Clarion University, Bachelor of Arts degree, and earned a master's degree in speech communication from Tiffin. In college, Noerr said he was a policy debater, debating some of the best schools in the nation, including Ivy League schools like Harvard, as part of the first team ever from Clarion University to qualify for the National Debate Tournament, which is like the NCAA basketball tournament of debate. He's a member of the Clarion County Republican Penny and Fraternal Order of Eagles in New Bethel. We have small papers here, so I don't know why archives down. Is there a bigger? I got interviewed. You would think that they would have a little more than that. And then this was my radio show. That we used to have in Williamsport, Talk Williamsport Radio. Me and my man Carlos, and then Todd Bartley, who wrote the article, Pennsylvania Patriot Radio. News Talk 104.1. So there you have it. That is true. My wife was cropped out of the photo with me. Yes. So yes, I ran for District 12 in 2019. That was taken before we were married. You know when that was taken? That picture was when we were with your dad up in the Finger Lakes. Remember we went to that Three Brothers winery? That was taken, I don't think at that winery, but it was taken up there. Yeah, see, my wife gets it. Yes. She was cropped out of the photo because it was just me running for Congress, not her. Hockey Chip, thanks so much. But yeah, that's stuff I used to do before I was just doing YouTube streams. Now I'd started a YouTube channel, but it was only for like a year, and then I decided to run for Congress, and then I had the radio show. Maybe one of these days, maybe we should start like once a week doing a flashback show where I play some of my old episodes. We play an old episode of Talk Williamsport, me, Todd, and Carlos. Carlos is the one that had, like, I didn't know shit all about this. You have to have like a license to broadcast on the radio. Todd Bartley, who's a legitimate journalist, he had the license, but then he moved out of the area. Todd's a fucking interesting character. Like, Todd's an amazing dude. This dude's story is crazy. So like he he is a sports journalist. That's what he is. But he found himself in Pennsylvania here. No one does real news, like at all. So all of a sudden he has this press pass and he finds himself in the middle of the pandemic being the only person that's asking our governor, Tom Wolf, like any sort of difficult questions about it. Like at all. It's just Todd. And it's like surreal. Like he would talk to me about it all the time. It's like, here's these people from like legitimate news organizations and they ain't saying shit. Now here's Todd who worked for like foxsports.net, who's like, covering college baseball and shit. And it's like, he's asking these questions. It's amazing. And then like, I'll bring Todd on one of these days to talk about the Myrtle Beach case. It's surreal. And by the way, if The Myrtle Beach case will be one of those things that will become a national story if Josh Shapiro ever uh, runs for like a national election. Basically, I'll give you the rundown, and then I promise we'll take call-ins. But I didn't expect to talk about this today. Todd breaks this story. So in Williamsport is the home of the Little League World Series, right? So if you've ever seen the Little League World Series where teams from all over the world come and play, that's Williamsport, Pennsylvania. So Todd's centralized there, and you can imagine baseball at all levels, huge in Williamsport. I mean, it's very much like the identity of the town. Baseball is a huge portion of it because of the Little League World Series. And it's a very cool thing. Like, it really is. Nonetheless, there's a high school team there in Williamsport, and they travel around. So they went to Myrtle Beach and to play in this baseball tournament many moons ago, like many years ago. And long story short, it's pretty graphic, so I'll make this as benign as possible. There was a player on Williamsport's team that was sexually assaulted in the hotel by other players on the team in like a hazing thing. Now, it happened to be that this boy, I believe, was the only black person on the team, and he was younger. And when you're like sexually assaulted, a little bit of hazing, like they pulled his pants down or something like that, it involved inserting a broom against someone's will. Or inserting something like that against someone's will. Now, the coaches, etc., were made aware of this because they filmed it. Then, a couple days later at school, they're passing around the film of this kid getting assaulted like this in the cafeteria. Like, so not only did this happen to this poor kid, but then now he's being ridiculed at school. And needless to say, it didn't go very well for that kid. I mean, can you imagine? So it basically becomes a situation where this kid and his family don't have a lot of money, and so no one's listening to them because some of the kids involved are connected to like officials in the town, like wealthy people, like people that are in local government, people connected to the police department, people connected to the school board, people connected to the principal. So they try to bury it. Like the local police do nothing, blah, blah, blah. And in comes Todd, who's like, he's on the sports beat there in Williamsport. So this is a big story for Todd. He connects to the family of the victim and basically helps them get legal aid. He ends up contacting the police in Myrtle Beach. Charges are filed in Myrtle Beach because that's where the assault took place. One of the people that did the assault, who's like comes from more of a well-to-do background that's connected locally, he's trying to go get a scholarship to play baseball in college. And so there's a lot of people like, leave this poor kid alone. This poor kid? What about the poor kid that was assaulted? And so Todd's covering this story. It's still ongoing. This is fucking damn near 10 years later, and this story is still ongoing. Josh Shapiro's portion of this is basically he's the attorney general in Pennsylvania. It gets to the level where there's accusations that the local police are intentionally covering up this crime. So it makes its way up to the state level. And Josh Shapiro's just basically like, nope. Now, humorous, considering Josh Shapiro's running on like sort of, equality for African Americans. Here you have a story of a majority of white powerful people covering up sexual assault of a young black kid. It's like something you'd hear out of like some fucking crazy like Lifetime movie about the Jim Crow South. And Josh Shapiro, Mr. Oh my gosh, I'm Democrat, I care about minorities, he don't do shit. Because these people are connected politically. Now, why am I bringing this all up to talk about Todd? Todd gets his fucking house firebombed because he is like one of the most hated men in Williamsport because of this. If you go to like Todd's Facebook page, it's just threats and you son of a bitch, you need to drop this, blah, blah, blah. A real honest to goodness journalist being attacked and threatened because he's breaking a story that affects powerful people, like actual journalism, actual what you would expect. Not a dude sucking up to the powerful. The exact opposite. What you're told that journalism's supposed to be. Police, this was 2020. Police investigate vehicle arson of prominent sports reporter in Loyalsock Township. A suspect still not been identified for a vehicle arson that occurred last week in Loyalsock, Lycoming County. According to Pennsylvania State Police in Montoursville, an unknown suspect set fire to the victim's vehicle shortly after 4 a.m., August 18th. The vehicle was parked in a driveway at the 1300 block of Warren Avenue. Firefighters from Loyalsock Township, along with several other companies, were able to put the fire out within minutes. Damage to the vehicle was extensive. The vehicle belonged to Todd Bartley, that old bastard. He was 46. Man, Todd's over 50 now? What an old bastard. Sports journalist with Fox Sports Williamport. Bartley spoke recently on Jason Fitzgerald's Pennsylvania Now. Fitzgerald's an awesome dude, too. Pennsylvania Now podcast and recounted the incident. He said he and his wife were working that morning by the fire. We heard a pretty loud boom and we thought something had hit the house, Bartley said on the podcast. He then saw an orange flicker outside the window and realized his car in the driveway was on fire. He and his son quickly moved the other vehicles that were parked in the driveway. Bartley, who also runs the Talk Williamsport Facebook page, has been covering a major case involving Williamsport Area School District baseball team. He's the first to break this story regarding the baseball's trip to Myrtle Beach in spring of 2018. During that trip, a WASD baseball player was accused of sexual misconduct. In May, the Lycoming District Attorney's Office passed on the case to the State Attorney General to investigate. That's Shapiro. Bartley also mentioned on the podcast he's been targeted with other times. Someone threw a brick through the driver's side window of his former work truck while he was covering a game at Lycoming College. Someone also covered that same work truck in graffiti. The vehicle that was set on fire was also targeted in a previous incident when someone slashed the tires while it was parked in the driveway. He also discussed the time a driver ran him off the road as he was traveling Interstate I-80 in Williamsport. Police were contacted and spoke to the other driver. No charges filed. But they lit the car on fire as it was adjacent to his house. And it literally was like a blaze. Like basically threw a Molotov at it. That's Todd, man. That was my radio co-host. I still talk to Todd a lot on the phone. It's a great dude, man. Weird as shit. But so am I, and so is Carlos. It worked out because we had 3 weird fuckers that were doing this radio show. So yeah, that was my crew. Me, Todd, and Carlos. You know, covering politics. And Todd is the exact stereotype of a journalist that like he's a fucking pit bull. Like he is as tenacious as a human being as I've ever seen. Like he could find a story that you would be like, it's not really that big of a story. Like something little like, this school board person, donated to this newspaper for favorable coverage. And he will cover that incessantly if no one else is covering it. Yeah, it is ironic as Shapiro's house would then later be firebombed. Thanks, Crash Joyce. I appreciate it. The weirdest that me, Todd, and Carlos have ever gotten together was we each shared one beer one time at Carlos's house. I'm not a big drinker with those sorts of people. They're older. I don't think they're big drinkers, so I've had a beer. But we certainly got like weird on our show, like covering weird shit. But we've never like gone out and partied or anything, really, if that's what you're asking. Why is Trump destroying the East Wing? I don't know, because they're putting a ballroom. I don't much give a shit. Yeah, you're right. Pittsburgh treat police terrible. Yep. No, there was no homosexual activities between Todd, Carlos, and I. Thanks for your inquiry. The same beer? No, we each had our own. We're poor. We shared one beer. We poured it into 3 little Dixie cups, and I'll bring Carlos on the show. In fact, I'll get Todd on the show. We'll do that sounds like a great 25,000 sub part of that show. Going back to my roots, me, Todd, and Carlos. Uh, those guys are maniacs, man. You think I'm a maniac? Those dudes are fucking maniacs. They really are. Great guys, though. You know, that's the thing. Dudes I've met like that, like my buddy Carlos, right? Carlos, a political consultant that did that radio show with Todd and me. Let me tell you a story about Carlos. Carlos, his family immigrated from Venezuela legally. And so he actually grew up fist fighting on a daily basis because his family came from Venezuela. And he'd be like, he's one of those guys, racism everywhere. He's like, fuck no, man. America's number one, baby. Loves it. Tired of all these people screaming racism about everything. Suck it up. That's Carlos's perspective. Carlos probably more right-wing than me. Here's a cool story if you're a fan of Andrew that you might like about Carlos. Carlos, big fan of Andrew Wilson. Carlos's son recently converted to Orthodoxy because he saw me doing shows with Andrew and then started watching Andrew and now has converted to Orthodoxy. And Carlos couldn't be more proud. So Carlos is always asking me, like, how's Andrew? Tell him thank you so much for having such a positive influence on my son's life. So, yeah, a weird little connection there. But there you go. Anyways, stories to talk about. We can talk about any of that stuff. A couple other stories real quick. We continue to see violence in places like Portland, where the insurrections continue. We see that. And then there's this NBA scandal with Chauncey Billups and Terry Rozier that are basically accused of helping set people. Billups is accused of helping set people up with a mafia card game to basically rob them blind by cheating at cards. Rozier is accused of basically shaving points. So why does this really matter? Well, it's a cultural story, but I do think there's a political component to this. I think that our culture has basically not just been corrupt in like degenerate ways, but also in illegal ways in many cases. And basically it's just ho-hum. The same people that will come after you in politics like the IRS that will audit you for the simplest of shit, those same feds sit back as we see obvious corruption occurring from people that are incredibly wealthy. And let's be honest, the culture has been aggressively anti-Trump in many of these entertainment industries, etc. Now, it was all fun and games when it was no one's above the law. Let's go after Donald Trump. Fun and games. They wanted to throw his ass in prison for the rest of his life. So, no one's above the law, right? It's interesting, though, how deep this will go. You think it's limited to the NBA? I don't. You don't think there's people, if they could do this in the NBA, you don't think they could do this elsewhere? And this guy, I can never pronounce his last name. It's like, is it Tony Franzine? I used to watch his podcast a lot. It's former like mobster. He talks about this. Let's see if I can find the clip real quick about how this works. I'll play this clip real quick. Michael Franzese. He's a very interesting guy. I enjoy watching this guy a lot. But I haven't seen this particular clip. He's going to break it down a little.
I don't know what it is, but let's get into this a little bit. And let me make you understand this, people. It's always going to continue. I did a media deal this morning, and they said to me, Michael, we haven't heard much about organized crime, ever since, the Gotti days. We haven't heard much. You don't hear that much. Let me tell you something. They got smart. They're working undercover now. It's not the same as it was in my lifetime. No doubt about that. But they're not going away. And I've said this many times. They're not going away in my lifetime. They're very resourceful, and gambling will always be a major business of Cosa Nostra. That's just how it is. It's very attractive. It's very lucrative. Guys love to gamble, and they love to make money by gambling. So yes, they're going to continue. Are the sports leagues going to be targeted? Of course. because they know athletes are easy prey in many, many cases. I'm sorry, they used to come to me, my bookmakers, and tell me things, which I'll get into a little bit. Athletes are easy prey. They get themselves in trouble. They owe a debt, and they got to do whatever they got to do to get out of it. Sometimes we have to intimidate them. Sometimes they just play along with us, whatever. But it happens, and it's not going to stop happening. Why? Because today, athletes have more access to gambling than they did in my day. Back in my day, you had to go to a bookmaker. You had to go to Vegas, maybe Atlantic City. Today, no. Today you can gamble anywhere. So what happens? When they gamble legally and they lose their money legally, what do then? They try to make it up somewhere. They turn to a bookmaker. They have relationships on the street that say, hey, I know how to get you out of this. Don't worry about it. And they do what Chauncey Billups does and a few of the other guys. And this is a widespread net that they seem to have pulled.
Michael Franzese. Thank you for that, Jasmine. Yeah, so and I heard him explain elsewhere that what happens would be something like this. Like, you're gambling, you owe money. The bookies are like, hey, listen, don't worry about it. You don't have to pay me what you owe. Just give me 10%, we'll keep it riding, no problem. Next thing you know, these people are in debt up to their eyes. So the bookies come to them and say, listen, you're not going to get out of this. There's nowhere you could go. You owe this debt. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to shave some points. And I mean, I don't think it's going to be limited to the NBA. Now, this is insane because we're talking billions upon billions of dollars in the professional sports leagues, not just in gambling, though that's huge now, but also in just how much money these leagues make, like through advertising deals, ticket sales, etc., etc. What if the games are rigged largely? And it's one of those things. People, if you're a fan of sports, you've always watched. Are they cheating for this team? Did the refs do this? Did that person throw the game, etc., etc.? Yeah, messed up your parlay, right? It's insane. Maybe professional sports are more akin to professional wrestling than we thought. What would this do to those brands? Not only is there illegal corruption, not only does this mean, like, what do you say to the person that gambles money and it's like, hey, this is bullshit. This was rigged. I want my money back. I don't know. And then, here's the thing. Gambling's always been a problem. The Boston College thing, wasn't that Goodfellas, right? The guy that Goodfellas was based on, he had one of these schemes for one of the colleges. I don't know if that was Boston College. Actually, I don't think it was. You had that ref in the 2000s, Tim Donaghy, that was arrested. Michael Jordan. Basically, with Michael Jordan, everybody knows that that's what was going on. The reason he left basketball for a year or two was because, not because he was really into baseball, where he went and played for the White Sox, but was that there were gambling problems. But it was never said out loud. It was just like hushed whispers, like everybody knew that's what was going on. Why does it matter if the gamblers, if it's rigged? They were gambling regardless. Hey, listen, I'm not a big gambler, so it doesn't affect me. I do play some fantasy football, and both of my leagues, I think it's like a $20 entry, but that's more of a donation. I don't care. So, but I'll tell you this much. This is how it'll affect me. If someone in football gets caught up in this, I swear to you, my team is winless this year in fantasy football, and I will use this as an excuse. I am going to, until I'm blue in the face, argue with these people like, oh, my players would have been winning me games, But the gambling scandal, here we go. The mob is now directly screwing with my fantasy football team. My team. Wife. Hey, Courtney. The reason I'm losing in fantasy football is because there's a gambling scandal. She doesn't believe it. By the way, I'm playing her this week. I've been cheated. I do suck. My team sucks. No, my wife's team sucks too. She's second to last. So we're playing each other this week, and our teams both suck. My quarterback this week is Michael Penix Jr., who, by the way, I picked him up because everyone I had Joe Burrow. I think I had Lamar Jackson. Last thing I say, and then I'll open up. The reason I picked up Michael Penix Jr. Was as follows. Let's see if this loads. Why is everything slow today? This actually happened. I forget what network it was, ESPN or something, but this is real. This is not made up. There's Michael Penix Jr. They screwed up, and because the X and the S are very close on the keyboard, so they accidentally put his name as Michael Penis Jr. So my quarterback this week will be Michael Penis Jr. Now I might lose, but I'm going to lose with style with Penis Jr. That's why I picked him up this week. I don't think he's going to do very good as far as, see, supposing, there you go. So I might lose, but damn it. I'm going to lose with Penis Jr. at the head. That's my plan. All right. Well, I got $7 on our super chat goal. What the hell's your, Penis Senior? That's what I said too. I was like, what? Penis Senior must have been a beast. Like he was, he's crushing it. He's crushing it. Yeah. Good. So clip the penis. Now, come on now. All right. So anything you want to talk about within terms of service, we'll probably go 2 hours. We'll probably end at 3:30 here. So we'll take your calls. Some advice that I have. One, don't draft Michael Penis Jr. No, I'm just kidding. He's probably a very nice guy. And regrettable probably that his name was spelled like that on there. All right, the link's pinned to the top. So we can talk about any story that I talked about there or anything else. As long as it's within terms of service. That's the only thing. So there will be no calls to violence. There will be no racial or homophobic slurs, anything of that nature. Even if you're a regular to the show, we're going to have to let you go if that's the direction that things are going. If you call in early, you'll probably get more time to talk than if you call in late. I don't know what to expect on a Saturday show because it was unadvertised, but normally what happens is the first hour and a half, there's like 2 or 3 callers. And then by the time I get to the last hour, there's like 9 people that want to call in. And so then we're limited to like 5 minutes a person. We have to run through them. So, but if you want to talk about personal stuff, like you have questions about, or points about like controversy that I'm in or other people or, things like that, that's fine. I don't mind. If you want to call in and tell me I'm a real piece of garbage for whatever, that's cool. Just keep it within terms of service. That's all I ask. All right. We have calls lined up. Your job is to get those super chats in. Let's be honest, we're doing pretty pathetic here 45 minutes into the show, but that's okay. I assume we'll reach our goal of $357. I assume. I won't start really harassing people until like 2:30. So you got an hour until I start being like, what the hell is wrong? So keep getting those super chats in. Promise I'll read them all. Hockey Chib, I think we read this one, $2. Says, I am a member. Amazing. Thank you so much. Texas Bully Mom, $10. Says, what costume are you going to wear for the stream on Halloween? No excuses. what's that, 6 days from now? So that'll be a Friday. I don't know. I'll come up with something. It's a fair point. I guess it'll be a surprise. I don't even know yet. Oh, wait. I don't know if I can stream on Halloween because we are literally traveling with our son. Even if I can't stream on Halloween, then I'll stream the night before in costume. Premonition News, $5 says, wish I could do more, but I'll get it started for you. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. Really do. So get those super chats in. First up, we're going to have, let's see here. 1 second. Fallen Heathen's going to be first, but I'm confusing myself with the way I have things set up here, so give me a second. Flavius, thank you so much. $20 over on Rumble says, I ain't got no yacht, but got some overtime pay. Stay based. Thank you, Flavius. I will try to stay based. Appreciate it. All right, Heathen. Here we go. What's happening today, Fallen Heathen? How you doing?
Pretty good. Survived a storm last night, apparently.
Oh, yeah?
Some nasty storm came through last night. And, yeah, apparently it was pretty bad. Tornado touched down and ripped some people's roofs off and stuff.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I woke up. My wife had got up to let the cats in because we have cats. You know, they wander around the property and stuff. And she let them in, and I could hear it, and the power went out and everything. I woke up this morning to people texting me asking if I was okay. I got a buddy who lives down by the lake closer to where the heart of the storm was, and he calls me with like this panic in his voice, this like adrenaline in his voice. I'm like, dude, you guys okay? I just smoked the biggest buck right now, dude. Can you come help me out? I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
That's crazy. We've been lucky so far, like the past, since I bought this house, in fact, we haven't had any like horrible storms that have caused that sort of stuff. Now, the area I live in years and years ago before I lived here, I mean, this is probably 30 years ago, people still tell stories of this tornado that came through, and you can still see like the damage of like stuff that it wiped out. So we'll get the odd tornado warning, but I've been very blessed that we haven't had anything serious like that occur.
The first year we lived up here is when Texas got hammered with those freezes.
And, yeah. Ted Cruz fled to Cancun. I remember all about it. Yeah.
I would have too. Honestly, I mean, it sucks. Like these houses aren't designed for that kind of weather. So all like the piping in the walls and stuff, like the external walls, they're not insulated. So when it freezes like that and your pipes freeze, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, now they've changed a lot of the codes and stuff like that. But to me, I mean, dude, I've been camping my whole life. I just grabbed the generator out, plugged the house into the generator, cooked everything out on the old egg, you know, just barbecued all of our food. It was like a 2-week-long camping trip, week and a half long camping trip in a 2,000 square foot house, you know.
Well, it's weird for someone who's lived in Pennsylvania my whole life. Like, we'll get snow. Now, I'm south of Erie. Erie gets the lake effect snow, so they'll get like 2 feet, and we'll get like 8 inches. It gets crazy up in Erie, but still, it'll get bad here sometimes. I remember I was in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, for a debate tournament, and maybe an inch of snow. Probably not even that. Maybe half an inch. The whole town shut down. And I was like, what are these people doing? Like, no one knows how to drive in the snow. They're just not used to it. Well, one of the things that I was told that I never thought of was their electrical grid's not designed to handle, like, ice on power lines.
Yeah.
Like, they do it. So it legitimately does really screw up, like, places down south that aren't used to. Because here it's like, you know that there's going to be snow, then it's going to rain, and you're going to have all this weight of ice on top of these power lines. So they build them to withstand that. Not so down south. So I was shocked. I'm like, man, an inch of snow and this whole town is shut down. I'm like the only guy driving. I'm like, what the hell's going on? You know, we're used to it up here.
So, yeah, I grew up, you know, in Southern California snowboarding and stuff. So I'm used to driving in the snow. And it was so funny because we made an adventure out of it. I was like, let's go get in the truck and go drive around. All the roads, you know, and stuff are all snowed over. And the amount of, you know, Texans and their big old dualies and stuff that were stuck on the side of the road and this little Toyota Tundra pulling guys out and stuff. I'm like, it was funny, dude, to see how little, they knew how to drive in the snow or deal with it. It was pretty funny. And my buddy actually works. He's a lineman, and they were busy nonstop because that very reason. All the power lines were like drooped down to the ground with the weight of ice on them. It was pretty wild.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's definitely something, for me though, it's like we have tornado, like a tornado would come through, super rare, like I said. It's so weird how our country's so huge, the different weather events that are like serious that you'd never experience in some parts of the country. Like I'm hurricane, I'm never going to experience a hurricane. I remember like with tornadoes, my wife's brother, right out of high school, got a job at a shop working on trucks. He's still, in fact, someday he's going to come on the show. This dude is incredible. He builds show trucks. And when I say trucks, I mean like tractor trailers. Wins all these national awards. Great dude. Just super awesome dude. He went to Joplin. Where the hell is it? Missouri, I think. And like the first year he was down there, I remember we went and visited, and these horrible tornadoes came through. I'd never seen anything like it. You'd see like all these strip malls and stuff completely flattened, just completely devastated. And I remember just being like, man, that's insane. Like tornadoes around here, it might hit one or two people's house and you're like, oh, that sucks. And like I said, there was that bad one 30 years ago that, or whatever. But that the level of devastation I saw from that tornado, like in Tornado Alley and stuff, unbelievable destruction. I just couldn't believe it. And I actually remember years later, this was like last year or the year before, I'm watching YouTube and I'm like stumbled on this like dark YouTube videos. It was this guy that was like, and it was like crazy stuff that's happened. And it was this dude that's talking. I don't remember if it was a man or a woman, I guess I'll be honest. It might have been a woman, but younger, and was doing a YouTube video and was like, oh, this bad tornado and blah, 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 and barely survived it. And then like a year later, actually was killed in that tornado that came through Joplin. And you're like, damn, that's so eerie. But I remember watching that and I was like, I know exactly the tornado they're talking about because I remember going through after it and it was insane. I couldn't believe the destruction.
Well, yeah, even like those floods that Texas got. I don't know if I called in after all that, but I live right by the lake where all that water stopped, where like the last spot of all that, the river flooding and stuff. And our lake, dude, was down 32 feet. It came up 16 feet in like a week. Like that's how much water came down river. It was, and the amount of debris and stuff that washed into the lake. I'm talking about tree trunks, the size of full-size truck had drifted down river. That was gnarly. Yeah, and Mother Nature's wild, dude.
Yeah, we had in the town I grew up in, New Bethlehem, we had in 96, there was a terrible flood. And basically the gist of it was, what is this crap? The gist, well, I'm not going to be able to show you because the internet's stupid. Nonetheless, in 96, it was a blizzard and ice backed up the river. And then there was this bad flood. I was in the Boy Scouts and the Boy Scout, it was in the Boy Scout hall. The water was so bad that it and the beer distributor that was next to it, it lifted it off the foundation. Jeez. And there's a bridge. The water was so high that the Boy Scout hall smashed into the side of the bridge, right? And it was incredible. It wiped out the whole town, wiped out the high school. It was terrible, like this terrible flood. So I want people, if you're watching, and I know I have people that watch, some that are from the area, I'm not making little of this. It was a fucking devastating event. However, there was something funny that happened. We're up on the hill at my aunt's place and we're watching this. I'd have been 12 years old, and I'll never forget this image. It took out the beer distributor, right? Now, these are rapid freezing waters that are rushing, terrible devastation. I'm watching like 6 or 7 guys link arms, right? Out in the banks of this river, grabbing cases of beer that are floating. I shit you not. It's like these guys risking their lives like, oh shit, Iron City beer floating down. They're out there grabbing these cases. I'll never forget it, man. I was like, even as a 12-year-old, I'm like, damn, these guys are thirsty. Like they're out there risking their lives. Like, but yeah, that's it was a crazy event. There's all kinds of like crazy shit that happened. Like there was a scandal afterwards because they had student volunteers help clean up the school. Turns out there was asbestos in the school. So there's this big to do where it's like you basically had these teenage kids that are running around cleaning up a school that there's asbestos around.
Well, that was all the stuff with 9/11 with all the people that helped clean up 9/11. A bunch of them got cancer and stuff from all the chemicals and stuff when they were
Crazy.
Up, yeah, the site.
Let me ask you this. What do you got? I put the link up to your stream. What do you got like coming up on your agenda with streaming?
Me?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I wanted to call in about because I feel like the streaming community is going to get watered down like the podcasting streaming community did, or the podcasting thing did, and like the early adopters like you or like the Crucible, stuff like that are gonna make it through it, and then the rest of it is just gonna get too watered down.
Yes and no, right? Like I do agree with you that that'll happen, but here's the thing. What does it mean to be like successful or have some influence? For me, I think that it's already happened. You could look analogous to like the gaming streaming community, right? So like you go over on Twitch. I right now have on Twitch, I have 2 people watching. 2 people are watching on Twitch, right? Now Twitch, I used to have 40, 50 people watching a night, but then I ran afoul of the algorithm for reasons, whatever. Now I remember though when this happened, back when I was on Twitch, like 2021 or something, I was in the top like 3% of Twitch streamers as far as viewership. And it's like, wow, that's impressive. No, because more than 50% of Twitch streamers on average are streaming to 0 people. That's more than 50%. And then there's a huge portion that are streaming to 1 or 2. Thanks, Just Kid. And you're like, well, what happened? Like you think of these video game streamers and it's like, they're so huge. Tens of thousands of people watching them. They're getting millions upon millions of dollars. They're signing endorsement deals and this, that, and the other, right? So what happened that it's watered down? Well, yeah, people see it and it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do. My sister's 20 years younger than me. I remember when she was in 6th grade. I'll never forget this. I'm having dinner with my parents and she's there. And they had in class, you were supposed to like sort of do a presentation on what you wanted to be for your career when you grew up. She said all but 3 people in her class of like 19 said YouTuber.
Jesus.
That's what they said. Like 16 out of 19 kids, YouTuber. So what's happening is there are people that get into it as a career choice, and most of you aren't going to make it. It's very similar to like professional sports. I'm going to play basketball when I grow up. Yeah, but it's only going to be maybe 1% of you that ever get paid $1 even to play basketball at any level, let alone the NBA. So as a career, it's certainly watered down to the point where it's like, yeah, it's going to be tough. Most people, if you think that this is going to be your career, aren't going to make it. However, if that's not your goal, and if your goal is, well, I just want to do this to have fun, it's my source of entertainment, I say go for it. And I think that even though it's technically watered down, just like let's use video games again. So what? There's some guy out there streaming to 2 people watching him right now as he plays Minecraft. Good for him. If he's having fun. Is that content as polished as the guy who's streaming to 10,000 people? Probably not, but there's something quirky and charming probably that those 2 people that are watching are like, yeah, I like watching this guy. There's something about his personality or the way that he's doing it. Now, when it comes to politics, you might say, yeah, but if it's about like actual affecting political change or winning cultural debates or whatever, most people probably it's going to be watered down and there's not going to be, for example, if you just had a debate and there's only 20 people that are debating, those people probably technically going to be better than if there's 2,000 people. And all of a sudden you're just taking random people from this 2,000 debating pool. But also, who cares? Sometimes those people that are small, that are watered down, are coming at things in a different perspective that you've never thought of. So, yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a lot of people that are getting involved in it. If you're getting involved in it as a career, just know the risks. Just like if you were, my plan is to be an NFL star. Okay, that's fine, but you're going to have to work real hard, and the chances are you're going to not achieve that. So, but I agree. I do think that you're going to see more people jump in.
I honestly was blown away when Destiny first came onto my radar, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago, And I'm like, this fucking dude just sits here all day long playing video games and then talking about, politics and culture. And then, yeah, people are sending him money all day. I'm like, this is rad. Like, I don't play video games at all, but I'd be like, this would be cool to be out, shooting my bow all day or just doing something I enjoy while streaming and talking about things, because I'm always constantly listening to stuff. And that's a lot of what Destiny does is he's watching videos and talking about them and stuff. And then a lot more people started doing like the political side of thing or the debate side of thing, like you and Andrew, and everyone's doing that. What I was honestly thinking about doing, because I have a 20-year-old son, so he's an adult. He lives on his own with his girlfriend. And let me tell you, dude, the funniest shit is when he comes over here and he's like, Dad, and he says some outrageous shit that he saw on TikTok about Trump did this or Trump, like some lie or some dude, just like the other day. God, I got to remember what he said. He came over talking about something the other day, talking about cryptocurrency or something, and it's just outrageous. I'm like, dude, we need to film. We need to video this every day, having conversations with the younger generation of what they're experiencing, what they're seeing, what they're learning. And I told him, I was like, every Sunday you guys should come over. They bring their dogs over so they can play with my dogs. I'm like, you guys need to come over Sundays and we need to sit down and start doing like a podcast or like a live stream or something and talking about all this because it's hilarious. Their line of thinking and the way they see things or what they're seeing on Twitter or TikTok and stuff is hilarious. And his girlfriend actually, sorry to interrupt. His girlfriend actually has a pretty big following on TikTok. She does like makeup tutorials, like when she's getting ready in the morning, like doing her hair and like talking about life and stuff like that. And I was like, you're in a really good position right now to start influencing the next generation, with your life. She has a lot of girls in their teens, watching her. I was like, you need to show them that, you value a nuclear family and you're a Christian and stuff like that, because this is how we make real change is through these kind of conversations.
Yeah, I agree. And like, look, there is value. Like, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't, like, think of it this way. If you stream, like, let's say you're religious and you want to stream and you're like, hey, I'm not the smartest guy, but I just want to talk about living life as a religious person. Maybe you only ever reach one person. Was it worth it? Yeah, it probably was, right? I put your channel link out there. I hope people go check out your channel and sub to at least give a sub. But I think you should watch. I know you have a lot of short form video out there. It's not like me. Every time I'm talking, it's 3 hours. Like it's all right.
People have such short attention spans.
Yeah.
The short clips get a bunch of views. The long stuff doesn't get recognized unless I mention somebody bigger in it.
Yeah. Well, I will just say though, for people that are wondering, I just checked while you were talking. So from January 1st, 2022 to December 31st, 2023, my estimated revenue was about $1,700 on YouTube for the year. $1,700. Now that's nice. That's a little more than $100 a month, right? If you knew the amount of time I put into my channel, then I mean, I'm streaming probably 2-3 hours a night, 3-4 nights a week, right? And so if you factor in the hours versus the money I made, that's probably averaging maybe $1 an hour, $2 an hour if I'm lucky. And by the way, that's money that you get, right? That then YouTube takes a cut of that. So I did this for years and years and years and made next to nothing money. Like it was just enough as a hobby. Yeah, a couple extra bucks here and there. And that was, around this time, I'm debating people like Destiny. I'm going on bigger shows. And still, like the amount of reach I got, it wasn't until this year, in fact, I started going full time, that things changed. But it takes a lot. It takes a lot of energy. Like you basically need 3 things, right? Maybe 4. We'll say you need talent that people find entertaining. That could be any kind of talent. It could be talent that you're a good debater. It could be talent that you're just entertaining is crazy. Maybe you're the best video game player, or maybe you suck, and that's a talent because you make people want to watch you because you're your interesting reactions, the way you're playing, or whatever, right? So you need that. You need effort. You got to put a lot of time and energy in, like you really do, right? You need connections. Like it's just like you need to know people. Like for me, my big break's like knowing someone like Andrew, right? And then you need luck. And I mean, it's just you could have everything. You could be the most polished politics streamer or game streamer or whatever. Whatever your thing is, you could be the best, most polished, the best thumbnails, the best edits, and all of that. And if the algo doesn't pick you up, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And that's something that Andrews told me for years. He was like, the algorithm's screwing you, man. Like, you've been mass reported so many times that the algorithm's just crushing you. And I'm just like, it was a hobby to me. I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to keep plowing away. And to this day, like, you would not believe the people that reach out to me with advice like, dude, your channel could be so much bigger if you did XYZ. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Even my editor, Black Elk, who's amazing. Like, I talk to him all the time. He's like me. He's like, dude, I'm learning on the fly. I don't know. Like, we don't know. That's not something that I'm just like, my idea of streaming is this. I sit down at my computer, I hit stream, bam, that's it, right? Like, it's not, oh, well, what's the topic that I need to talk that's going to pick up the algorithm? And it's weird. Like, there are certain things that I know that I could do to make my channel bigger. I could do the drama stream once a week. Yep. I could, always pick a side and stay on it. Trump good 24/7. Don't criticize him. Channel will grow. Trump bad 24/7. Channel will grow. My channel probably, if 2 years ago, if I would have went the Hunter Avalon route and just been like, Trump's the worst, my channel would, the lefties would have been like, yeah, this guy's the best. Yeah, Andrew does do that. He constantly deletes his videos and then reposts them. Well, Ethan, I got to let you go. We got more callers in, but I'm glad you survived this storm. And hopefully we'll be able to talk soon, man.
All right, man. I appreciate everything. Take it easy.
Here's his channel one more time. We'll put that up. Yeah, but to anyone who's trying out streaming and you're like, oh, man, I'm putting a lot of energy into this and I think I'm putting out good streams and I'm just not getting a lot of viewers. Dude, I'm telling you, like, I made almost for years and years and years and years and years, I toiled away with like 2 people watching my live streams. It is what it is. It just night after night after night after night after night, 3-hour stream, 4-hour stream, 24-hour streams. And just, now for me, it wasn't my livelihood. It was a hobby. I was doing it because it was fun. So I talk about this all the time. I'm not the best person to ask for advice on how to grow your show, but I will say this. One thing I can say is you have to say, why am I streaming? Because if you're streaming because you want it to be your job, that's different what you should be doing than if you're streaming because it's just a hobby. And, for me, I don't know what to say about it being my job. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a lot of advice. I have more advice on if you want it to be a hobby because that's how I've done it for years. And my advice is just make sure it's always fun, just like any hobby that you have. Once it becomes a chore, once it starts to feel like work, is it really worth it? So just have fun with it. And yeah, maybe you having fun is doing things that isn't the best for increasing your brand and getting ad deals or sponsorships and getting more viewers and getting more super chats. Maybe it's not the same, but that's okay because that wasn't your intent. And so if it's just like, hey, I'm doing this streaming, and if people throw me some money, great. And if not, totally cool. For me, streaming was like video games to some people. Instead of like, hey, I got 4 hours, I'll play some Call of Duty. It was, I got 4 hours, I'll go stream. It'll be fun. This is fun for me. So, some super chats, please get more in because now it is a job. So I have to grift, which I'm still not comfortable with. Our good friend Lower Class. Speaking of streamers, check out Lower Class's channel as well. $10 says gaming stream crashed for the grift. Great to hear from you, man. Unwokey, or is it Woko? Unwoko, $5 says, have you seen the Pro Ice children's book that someone wrote on Amazon? It's called Kingdom of Ice, and the author is Misty Poem, a real book. That's pretty funny. Abby, what's happening, my friend? $10 says, for more Rob and more likes, Rob. Thank you so much. Always appreciate it, Abby. Texas Bully Bomb, $10 says, for the goal and big thanks for not doing ad reads or promotions. You stream so much. Thank you so much. But I might be doing ad reads. I'm so sorry. We'll see. I don't know. We've talked about it. I don't think it would be too intrusive, and I also wouldn't read ads for anything that I thought was unethical or something that I wouldn't use. But I don't know. As of right now, no ad reads. We'll see. Man, am I thirsty. But I really could use some energy. Wow, what great flavor. 0 sugar and energy? Thanks so much. Energy Rush. Energy Rush. It's a product I really enjoy using when I'm yelling at degenerate lefties who want to celebrate things like the murder of children at Catholic schools. Sometimes you could get down in the dumps, but with Energy Rush, I feel like I have the pep to argue with them anytime necessary. That's Energy Rush. Pick it up at one of your local grocers today. No affiliation with the Normal America with Robnoerr Show. Yeah, Energy Rush didn't sponsor me. I'm just being an asshole. So don't sue me, Energy Rush. I'm just joking. ah. Call me GL. What's up, man? $20 says, here you go. Plybitty blippity blip popcorn player. Get your ads out. Get ads you like. Yes, of course. Absolutely. Spiro, thanks so much, $10 says, the only reason I got any traction is due to larger audience channels like Rob, Andrew, maybe a few others have 0 talent. Also, buy Pepsi Cherry at your local store. Spiro, just wait, man. Wait until Spiro all of a sudden starts advertising for like Chat GPT. When you see, you'll see the dramatic change. All of a sudden, Spiro's gonna be like, you know who's the best? Sam Altman. He's just the best. I love Mr. Altman. He's great. You know, I was just doing a bit when I was, see, look at that. Hey, if you're watching Energy Rush, good stuff. You read once that 20% of your revenue should come from super chats as a YouTuber. Yeah, 95% of my revenue comes from super chats. All right, next up, Creeper Killer. You ready?
Yeah.
What's happening, Creeper? How you doing?
Man. I'm good. Right now I just wanted to talk about the right cancel culture versus boycotting, and that the right should stick to boycotts because I feel they're more effective than cancel culture.
So it depends on how you define cancel culture, but largely I agree with you. I don't like the idea of like going through people, you know, social media posts, particularly from years ago, and trying to get them fired. Boycotts, I think, have always been more ethical. So the difference would be this. Instead of like, I don't like something that Bud Light did. So I'm like, I'm not going to purchase Bud Light. As opposed to, I'm going to like contact every single ad agency ever and be like, you know, oh, don't advertise with Bud Light. Is that sort of the stuff you're talking about?
I would say like more cancel culture, you don't really have to be a fan of the person you're canceling. You just have to be some random person in it. Boycotts is the built-in audience. Audience like Bud Light. The audience of Bud Light said, no, we're not going to tolerate the propaganda. Whereas culture, like Tucker Carlson, he got cancelled. I don't believe if Fox News didn't fire him, he would still be one of the number one people on the Fox News.
I totally agree with that. You know, so the difference would be boycott would be like, don't watch Tucker, and cancel culture would be like pressure Fox News to fire Tucker. That's sort of the point you're making?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I largely think that you're right that boycotting is, let's put it this way, they are increases in steps of severity, right? And so most of the time I think a boycott could be effective. However, a boycott could in effect lead to the firing as well. Like, for example, boycotting Bud Light because of the Dylan Mulvaney thing did lead ultimately to the firing of the whatever executive that decided to do that advertising campaign. Cancel culture to me is something that's different, though. Cancel culture is sort of trying to like specifically go after a person using personal things that they've said. I agree with you that I think ultimately boycotting is where conservatives should be. You know, you could have more effect on changing the culture by just being like, we refuse to put our dollars into what we think are bad culture. So, for example, if you don't like Disney because of a bunch of woke stuff, then stop watching Marvel movies. Stop subscribing to Disney Plus, right? That's a boycott, right? However, I was always against cancel culture, and I would be a liar if I didn't say that I've somewhat changed my mind on this when it comes to the severity of what someone did. So, you know, Do I want someone canceled, i.e., fired from their job, if they're a second grade teacher and they're like, yay, I'm glad Charlie Kirk was murdered? Yeah. Yeah, I do want them fired because I don't think they should be teaching children. And I would be a liar if I said that wouldn't fit my definition of cancel culture. But I just don't, I don't know how to, I don't know how to avoid that. What am I supposed to do? Say, well, I'll just boycott that school? Like at some point we have to say, listen, if the action is so heinous. Now, would I want someone canceled because they say I hate Donald Trump or I love socialism or I love communism? No, of course not. But there seems to be a threshold where we should say like, okay, enough's enough. I don't want to go to the hospital where the nurse is on social media saying if a MAGA supporter comes in here, I'd let them die. I don't think that person should have their job. That seems crazy. By the way, I would feel the same way if they said, if a Joe Biden supporter comes in, I would let them die. You also should not have your job. We never hear that because the people on the right aren't insane psychopaths like that.
I would
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying. I feel like right has been sort of boycotting for a long time with Disney, with Star Wars, with all the woke stuff, CNN, all them stuff, the ratings down. Like with Stephen Colbert, with the FCC coming out and all that big hullabaloo coming out. It didn't really do anything. It might have even backfired a little bit because it might have given
Jimmy
him a
Kim-
few months.
You mean
Yeah, Jimmy
Kimmel? Yeah.
Yeah, Jimmy Kimmel. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
he was already out of the door.
I didn't particularly like that, and I did streams on that. I didn't like that the FEC chair came out and said things. And I don't think it was as bad as what people led to believe, but yeah, I mean, I definitely think to some extent it backfired. But yeah, you don't, for me, it was enough to be like, the boycott would have worked more than the government getting involved. We don't like Kimmel. He's a scumbag. Don't watch him. As opposed to, now get him,
Yeah.
government. I think that it's different.
And
I agree.
and left wing has mostly political infrastructure. So I don't think, and the right more or less is unwilling to use any political infrastructure. They do have control of to actually go against the enemies.
Yeah.
Like the left. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think the left wins with we actively try and destroy the already foundation that they have already destroyed a little bit. But all in all, I think the right don't have the will to use cancel culture as effectively as the left would. And I
Right.
don't think it would either work in the same way that the left wing would. Because Tucker Carlson get cancelled by people that didn't watch him. Like,
Yeah.
compared to what they say about Charlie Kirk, it was way more backlash on the right than what Tucker did. And it didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Now, I do think, I will say this though in general, and then I'll let you go here. I do think that, unfortunately, the right had to engage in what collectively people call cancel culture to some degree. Now, I agree with you. I think people mistakenly lump in things like boycotting with that. I do. But here was the bargain that, like, sort of you had as a company. Most companies probably don't want involved in culture or politics whatsoever. They just want to sell products. Now, what's happened is because of academia being infiltrated by radical lefties, people that are now filling these spots that you normally would need a college degree for in the advertising department, HR, executives in these companies are radical left wingers. So two things are occurring simultaneously. One, you have these companies that are now having people in them that are more interested in politics and pushing their politics or cultural agenda. And secondly, the left is like playing this game where it's like, we're going to organize boycott. We got groups like Media Matters. We're going to pressure advertisers to never work with you unless you promote our politics. And so as a company, you're basically left with this. Like, let's just take a random company, like, your Subway, right? Or something like that. And it's like, well, on one hand, if we piss off the left, they're going to go after our advertisers. They're going to boycott us. They're going to go after our executives, trying to ruin their lives. But if we piss off the right, they're going to be like, oh, that's it. And so who do you think wins out eventually in that game? Well, the left, because the company's like, well, we're just trying to hedge our bets. And if one side's going to like go for broke to try to take us out, and the other side's just going to wag their finger, be like, you shouldn't have done that. Okay, that's what we'll do. And so it wasn't until the right started saying, fine, we'll play that same game, that all of a sudden these companies are like, oh, okay, Okay, maybe we shouldn't be sponsoring pride marches. Maybe we shouldn't be sponsoring transgender surgeries or whatever. And now what happens is it's sad because it's leading more to the bifurcation of culture. Now it's almost like we have to look at the type of product that you're making or selling to determine which political message you should take, because it's almost like it's hard to just not be involved at this point, particularly from the prospects of the left, where they say silence is violence. So what ends up happening is like, okay, your Tractor Supply. Who's your audience? It's going to be mostly right wingers. So you can't do the LGBT shit because the right's going to be like, fuck you, we'll boycott, right? But if you're like, you sell purses, right? Okay, now you got to cater to the left. Because if the right boycotts you, who gives a shit? That's not normally your audience. And it sucks that that's what's happening. But what's the alternative? That the right, from the perspective of me as someone on the right, that we just say, well, I guess that we'll never engage in this. And the left goes, thank you very much. And over time, what happens is culture massively shifts to the left. Because the only consequence culturally that will negatively affect you as a business is if you upset the left. So you go to the left, and maybe you go to the left a little this year, and then a little more, then a little more, then a little more. And what happens over a generation? Well, now everything in the culture is radically left. And the only way to get back to more of an equilibrium is to have people doing these sort of things on the right as well. So it's not something that I'm particularly ever cheered for. In fact, I used to, if you watch my stream 2019, 2020, I'd be like, oh, the right shouldn't do this sort of stuff. If you personally choose not to purchase a product, fine, no problem. But I'm not interested in like collectivizing and saying, don't do this, don't consume that. Now I understand. I totally understand. And, in fact, I'm more gung-ho. Like, you absolutely should. If there are companies that are, a video game company has someone high up that was celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, don't purchase it. And let people know. And so that they don't purchase it as well. That's what's going on. Oh, good advice, Abe. But I'll give you the last word. Go ahead.
Thanks for having me on. I would really like if you would interact with our next YouTuber, if that's okay. With Willie OAM. He's a war pundit on Ukraine war. I'd like to hear discussion between you and him. But thanks for having me on.
Yeah, if it's my X account's robnoerr, as you see it spelled there. DM me, and I would be happy to talk to anyone probably. So, thank you, Creeper. I appreciate it, man. All right, good call. I'll be honest, Creeper. It took me a half a second to get your accent. I was like, what? What? But I got it. It was a good call. Yes, the Overton window. That's what we're talking about. Now, listen, I did say at 2:30 I'm going to start haranguing people to send more money. So far, so good. We're not going to harangue, but trying to get to that goal of $357 today. Now, listen, I know you're wondering, why $357? Why is it so important to reach this goal of $357 today? All right, I'll tell you. Because I'm greedy. I'm going to spend that money frivolously. Tonight we're having board game night. Instead of just getting like a normal cheese pizza, I'm probably going to get more toppings if we reach our goal of 357. Do you really want me and my family to struggle through just eating a cheese pizza tonight, as opposed to like a pizza with extra cheese, pepperoni, onion? Hell, if we reach our goal of 357, you know what I might do? I might get one with mushrooms on. I'm the only one who likes mushrooms in my family. But I might get one with mushrooms on it. Just for me, a little small pizza with just mushrooms. Are you monsters going to force us to eat cheese pizza? Look at this. Ron Quay gets it. $5. Here's for an extra topping for your pizza. Oh, already I smell the pepperoni. Thank you so much. Eat some extra steak. Cut out the pizza. Yes, but in fairness, we're doing board game night with like my nieces and my son. I don't know that they're big steak eaters. Oh, Rev, $5 for some breadstick. Thank you so much, Rev. Says have a breadstick on me. And then we got Arby, $5 as well. I have to support all the meats. Huh? I always forget to do this. Let's forget about PayPal. Let's just put Cash App. How about that? My Cash App is just $robnoerr. Now, if you do donate through Cash App, please let me know in the chat. And other people, if you see someone say, because it is tough, I forget to check it during the stream. But remember, with Cash App, you can donate to me anytime. Anytime whatsoever, you could donate on Cash App. Even if I'm not streaming. Now, one thing I want to say, I understand the idea. YouTube does take like a decent amount. Oh, by the way, Kane, thanks for the $5. Says health is great, but pizza is love. Pizza is life. There's a reason to donate on YouTube as well, though. Because that helps me in the algorithm. So people have been saying recently, hey, I saw you on YouTube's featured page. That's because of YouTube donations, largely. If you look up like the statistics on my channel, the amount of audience interaction I get on compared to a regular channel compared to a channel of a similar size is out of control. I'm amongst the highest of all YouTube channels for the amount of people that chat, that give likes. By the way, give a like if you haven't. That really helps in the algorithm. The other thing that really helps in the algorithm is YouTube likes money. Right. It's that simple. Call me, GL says. Remember for 2 months, thanks. Says, what board games do you like best? I was always a big Risk fan, but obviously that requires some time. Monopoly was fine. It gets old though. Risk I'm usually excited about by the time the game ends. Monopoly, it's like half the time, it's like, ugh. So recently, I'm a big Connect 4 fan. I enjoyed that. And I like playing like Sorry and Trouble because it's just enough where like the young kids can understand like Problematic Trouble or Sorry. Plus, I think it's fun enough for an adult. My least favorite board game is Candyland. I'll tell you a quick story about Candyland. This is my wife, my evil wife, and her friend. I was actually friends with my wife's friend before I met my wife. So it's my friend as well. But we were playing Candyland for drinks one time. And so you had to take a drink of beer at the end of the round if you were the furthest person back. And this is all true, and my wife knows exactly what I'm going to say. So I'm a little bit colorblind. So I had trouble differentiating between the yellow and the orange cards. And these bastards would lie to me. They would lie. I'd be like, I think that's yellow. They'd be like, no, that's orange. So that I would move less spaces. So I do not like Candyland. Not a fan. Ron Quay, $2 says no chain pizza. Get some mom and pop greatness. I believe that'll be the intent. We ain't getting Domino's or Pizza Hut or anything. So she knows. She knew that was coming. It is not lies. AB, what's up? Member 5 months says me and my buddies would have month-long Risk games. Yeah, Risk, good stuff. Panelverse, it's over 9,000. What? Surely you're not talking about the awesome power of the Panelverse?
I think he doesn't know the power of the Panelverse.
Oh shit! Not the Panelverse! Oh no! Not the fucking Panelverse! Beware the Panelverse! He doesn't run afoul of the Panelverse! Who could know the great Sarah Tomato? The power she wields, the power of the Panelverse. Did I miss someone's? I got it, don't worry. I know I'm bouncing around, but I got it. We talking about women. Women, yeah, $5. Thanks so much, man. Just discovering you through the Panelverse fiasco. Would love to have a conversation with you. Here's 5 for a Supreme Big Man. Thank you. Well, the link is up top. So you can call in today. We'll be going till about 3:30. So we still got an hour and a half. Anybody who wants to call in, the link up top. Go ahead and click it. All right, next caller. That is true. My wife's, she's shifty, man. She's shifty. She's not above cheating to win at a board game. I like that about her. I think that's something I thoroughly enjoy, that my wife will cheat. I love Mario Party. Another good story. So my wife's best friend we go to hang out with one day, and she's got a boyfriend who I later became friends with her boyfriend as well. But this is like one of my first times meeting this dude. And he's like, yeah, you guys want to play Mario Party? Sure. So we all play Mario Party, and I won. And you know how it is. You're like, fun game, you know? Hey, we'll see you guys later. We leave, we get in the car, and I'm like, yes! I fucking win. You know, I kept my shit when we were with, you know, this guy that I'd never met before. But I was super into winning, you know? And my wife's just rolling her eyes like, yeah, no one gives a shit. Then, of course, when my wife talks to her friend, you know, a couple days later, she's like, yeah, my boyfriend's real pissed off. He just kept going on about how he lost at Mario Party. I'm like, yes, that's right. That's right, damn it. I love that shit. Gavin Freenan, $5 says, the Panelverse. Rob, no, why? Why did you do this? No, why? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, Gavin. Yeah, Mario Party, definitely. It's almost better to be terrible. All right, Miguel, you ready? Maggie, what's happening today, man? It's been a hot minute. How you been?
Yeah, it's been a minute too. Actually been kind of busy doing a lot of traveling. I did got to see that town, Pilgrim, Nebraska, that was hit by an EF4 back in 2014.
Yeah,
EF4
no shit.
tornado.
Yeah.
Many of the places are still empty lots. They never rebuilt. There used to be over 1,000 people in that town. Now today is only like 240.
That's nuts. Like 3/4 of the town wiped out. It's insane. And there was I mean, I don't remember specifically, but there was some deaths too. I mean, it was bad news. It really was.
Yeah, it was 2 deaths in the town, and it was also a factor was rated for 191 miles per hour for the Fujita scale rating, meaning it was damn near close to being EF5. And right now I'm tracking Hurricane Melissa now. Now she's a hurricane. It's going to be a big, probably once in a lifetime event for Jamaica and Cuba.
No shit. I didn't even know about this. That's terrible.
It's formed about 2 days ago. It's been struggling for quite a bit of time because there was negative environments, but now it's pretty much off to the races. It's likely to become a high-end Category 4 or Category 5 hurricane. And there's only been one time that Jamaica has been hit by a major hurricane directly like a landfall. That was in 1988, Hurricane Gilbert.
Wow.
All the other storms have either tracked to the north or tracked to the south of the island. And so it's like you would think like being in the Caribbean, you would think we would get hit more, but no. There's some islands who never gets hit as often, and other ones like Cuba and DR has gotten hit plenty of times.
Wow. Well, I'll be praying. Hopefully it ends up, because sometimes like the tracking's off and it ends up like turning at the last minute. So with any luck, it'll miss all the populated islands. But yeah, that's crazy.
I'm not really too sure about it, given the fact that the steering currents are pretty much in their is putting Jamaica in the track of the storm, regardless of what part of Jamaica. They're expecting up to 3 feet of rain, probably even more than that.
Damn, it's crazy. 3 feet. Jeez.
It's because they have mountains in the center of the island up to 5,000 feet in elevation.
Yeah.
So you have orographic lift, and mind you, the Caribbean is pretty much the hottest place in the world in terms of oceanic heat. It extends up to 2,000 feet below the surface.
Damn.
Even more so than the West Pacific. Mind you, the West Pacific, like the Philippines, that's a hotbed for Category 5 hurricanes.
Yeah. Wow, that's crazy.
And like for the reference to what you said about the tornado in Pennsylvania, it was 40 years ago, in 1985. They had several violent tornadoes that hit Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Our big thing here in Pennsylvania, it's the big thing's blizzards. I think that's probably, as far as a weather event, the one that affects the most people. And people don't understand how blizzards could lead to flooding, because what happens is the ice will back up the river. We had a dam, I think in 96, if I remember. What happened was the ice blocked up the dam, and then once the dam sort of overflowed, it was like all of this water came whoosh, just rushing at once, and that's what was so devastating. It was like that, like wiped out like a big portion of the town. But yeah, we definitely get tornadoes. It's not as bad as like Tornado Alley, but blizzards are definitely the worst.
The one that one day was May 31st, 1985. The environment was pretty much closer to being in Oklahoma and in Pittsburgh. In fact, Pennsylvania still has one of the widest tornadoes ever recorded. And that was the Mashanahan State Park tornado. It was on the ground for 72 miles and it was believed to be 2.57 miles wide, making one of the widest tornadoes ever recorded.
How the fuck do you know all this? Right? Like
I do a lot of research.
you're into
weather. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of weather posting on X right now. Well, a little bit off right now because I'm working, but I'm going to be back on X later on today posting about Melissa. So
that's
it's going to be
amazing. Now, is it a field that you like wanted to work in, or is it just like an interest?
Yeah, I've been wanting to work in, but as of lately, I've been getting myself in trouble with the weather community since most of them have Trump derangement syndrome.
Yes, right. No kidding. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of them was celebrating Charlie Kirk's death. I'm like, you know what? Why do I want to be part of a community that's celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk? Like, no. That's a hell no for me.
Well, there's a lot of people. I mean, Spiro's in the background there. I know that Sam Altman's paid him off now, but like as a coder, like he talks about that, how a lot of people in that community, and it's very weird. Tangentially, I guess I'm sort of connected to that as well. So in the debate community, my goodness, I still remember when Trump won in 2016, there was a tournament at the university that I graduated at and that I debated for, Clarion University. And so I hadn't been involved with the debate team in quite some time, but I would judge the tournament in Clarion because they need judges and I lived in the area. All right. So I go and I'll never forget, man, it was like a funeral. Like these people were devastated. It was like 2 weeks after the election. And I just remember like people wanted to throttle me because they knew I voted for Trump. And I was like, there was one other dude from Boston College that voted for Trump, but everyone else in that building, the debaters, the coaches, the judges, the people running the tab room hated Trump. And this was 2 weeks after his first election. And they were emotional is an understatement. At one point, I got I was just hanging out with dudes that I was like friends with, and they shut the door and basically had a struggle session with me where they're just screaming at me and they can't believe that I'm racist now and this, that, and the other. And, I let it go. I understood that they were emotional, but to them, it was like the end of the world. And it was surreal. It really was. I couldn't believe it. That tournament then had another thing that happened that really made me think twice about the debate community as a whole. But yeah. And so then after that, like another group that I was connected to, I wanted to be a professor. And I know damn well that like circa 2000, after I got my grad degree, I know that one of the things that held me back was my channel, because a lot of these universities are like, nope, we're not going to hire someone to be a professor. It's like a Trump supporter. So I remember like the one dude I knew that was involved in one of the hiring teams at one of the university told me, he was like, man, you gave a phenomenal interview. You did great. There was one person with better credentials than you, so we ended up going with her, but you're next on our list the next time that we need someone from the hiring pool. And I know damn well I was passed over, like that person told me. And it's because of my politics.
Yeah,
and it's like maybe for the better, now look where I'm at. So
yeah, and the thing
playing
is,
whip
like,
songs online for
yeah,
money.
and the thing is, like, I saw that the weather committee have been going into a frenzy since Trump been elected the first time, and again now for the second time because of the Doge cuts. They're pissed off about the weather, about the downsizing in terms of the NOAA and spending. I'm like, well, if you guys just keep spending money on administrators and not actually delivering results, I'm like, what do you expect was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
You all this free ride and free money you think it was going to last forever? I mean, I guess they were betting on Kamala Harris. They lost that bet, so.
Well, it is. Listen, take politics and all this stuff out of it. Like, I'm the type of person, let's say you're watching a professional sports, and a coach gets fired. I don't relish that that's a human being that lost a job, and it's like, now granted, it's a little different when it comes to professional athletics because that coach probably is worth millions upon millions of dollars. But still, the general theme remains, I'm not really happy to see someone lose a job. That's true.
Yeah.
And so, like, the idea of, like, I'll give you an example. Through my wife, I met someone whose job was basically being a diversity dude at a university. And I think that job is not only is that job, it's not worthless, it's worse than worthless. It actually causes harm, in my opinion. Now, this dude
Yeah.
was one of the nicest dudes you'd ever meet. Cool guy, real nice dude. I'm not really relishing the thought that I would be like, yeah, this job needs to be terminated. Like, this is crazy bullshit. You know, I
We
don't
also
like the
need to
fact that that results in this guy who seems like a nice guy losing a job. I guess that sucks. But what's the alternative? It can't just be that it's like, well, we just have worthless jobs or jobs that are bad just because, and we can
Yeah.
never eliminate them. And that's what's happened with so much of like shit when the government's involved with spending. You get all these worthless jobs, like in administrative positions. What
Yeah,
are we
that's what I
supposed to
was
do?
talking
Just
about the other
forever?
day.
Like, it's like all of a sudden we're just going to be like, you know, hey, for every student in a university, we're going to have one administrator. 4,000 students at your campus? Well, 4,000 administrators. And then once someone comes along, it's like, this isn't tenable. Like, this university is going to collapse. We need to fire 50% of administrators. And everyone's like, oh my goodness. But that's terrible. These people will be out jobs. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I mean, it sucks, but the truth is, like, that's not sustainable. And plus, you know, the tides change. Technology has changed the way how we look at jobs and so throughout time. So, like, not like the people working today in like the certain job markets or so, it's gonna be different in the next 20 years or so. And it's already different right now than it was 20 years ago. We all like. I think thing is we need to like adapt to new things and adapt to change. I mean, we don't have to get rid of completely destroy our traditions, but we need to adapt to the times, and we need to let's look at what is more tenable, a lot more efficient. Like when it comes to the administrative state, it has become so out of control and so bloated that you can't really do any project. That's why our infrastructure is collapsing.
Yep. No, I
Yeah.
totally agree. I mean, and like you look from the perspective of like the university system, like I was talking, when you see that tuition's gone up, like as soon as the United States or as soon as the government gets involved in backing student loans, you can see that tuition prices are far outpacing general inflation. So part of you's like, it's the same with healthcare. So you're like, well, at least the professors are making more money. No.
Yeah.
We just keep hiring administrators. We just keep creating bullshit jobs. How is it that we have like 10 times, I don't know the exact number, but we have like 5 or 10 times more administrators today at these universities than we did in like the late 70s? Were the schools unable to function back then? Right? Of course not. We're creating bullshit jobs, right? And it's the same with healthcare. You're like, oh, well, at least with the price of all this shit going up, doctors are getting paid more, right? Nurses are getting paid more. No. Like when you
They're
see
not.
these ridiculous bills from your hospital, it's the insurance companies, right? It's the people that own the hospital. They're making money hand over fist, but the doctors not really. There's a lot of doctors now, particularly like family care, that are like, we won't take insurance. We'd rather charge cash. We actually make more money, and it costs you less money than having to go
Yeah,
through the
because
ridiculous
these
insurance system, you know?
Yeah, these insurance companies, they pretty much lobby our government. Like people always complain about APAC, which to a reasonable degree, yes, APAC is a problem. They fund more Democrats than Republicans they do. But regardless to what, the APAC is a problem. But the thing is, insurance companies and pharmaceuticals they fund more than what APAC can ever do. And the thing is, they influence medical industry. In fact, if you look at the number one jobs in the United States and most of our states, back in the day used to be manufacturing. Guess what is number one for most, like 38 states? Guess what was number one for when it comes to job market? Healthcare.
Right. Yeah,
Healthcare.
Yep.
Healthcare is the majority of jobs in 38 of our 50 states.
Yeah, it's insane. And you see that, like you said, right? Like when you look at like then a big situation comes up like the pandemic, right? Why is it that like pretty much every like, cable news outlet, et cetera, seem to basically be pushing the same narrative? Well, a big part of it is that's where the bulk of their advertising dollars come from the pharmaceutical industry
and insurance companies.
That's why, like, it's amazing to me. I haven't watched it yet, but Tucker Carlson's most recent episode, I think most recent, was Cheryl Hines. Cheryl Hines is the actress that plays Larry David's wife in Curb Your Enthusiasm. She's an actress, right? Hollywood. Yeah. She happens to be married to RFK Jr.
Yeah.
And she's like, you would not believe the vitriol, right, that the people in Hollywood have treated her and her husband with. How she's been blacklisted. She was always cool. Everyone always loved RFK until he started working for Trump. And he's basically saying the same things now as he was before he was with Trump. the reason, like, it's amazing to see how the knives come out for him. And once you understand the amount of money, right, that's going in,
Or like
the
the narco
pharmaceutical
terror,
industry.
or like the drug crackdown that Trump has been doing in the Caribbean. Now people are mad. I mean, it's because there's a lot of people in Wall Street and executives all throughout the country who take drugs too.
Yeah.
Don't act like they including politicians. There's a lot of politicians who like to smoke up that that white powder up their nose.
I was gonna say
It-
smoke. Mickey, you're
it's
too
not-
innocent. Yeah,
Mm.
I'm just kidding.
And the thing is, I lost my mom through that.
That sucks, man. I'm sorry to hear
She
that.
passed away almost 5 years ago, and she was heavy on that stuff for the last part of her years, and I lost her because of that. So I don't like when I see Rand Paul screaming at the top of his lungs or that song. I'm like, you know what? I don't care because I lost my mom through that. So like the libertarian side of me, when it comes to that part, is gone.
Well, it's very
Yeah.
similar to Scott Adams, where he talks about, he lost a stepson to fentanyl. And like he's very much like, I don't give a shit, that's my issue. Fuck China. He blames China, which, largely correct about where fentanyl is coming from.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, it really is like, I think that it's not just that people use as to why people are upset. I think that a big part of it is that there are financial sort of incentives for people. Like if you look at the CIA's drug running, etc., there's years and, there's much documented evidence that there's an intent from a lot of people in positions of power to allow this drug running to continue.
And it was wild to me. I think he was debating somebody a while back, saying defending the whole administrative state, saying that the administrative state needs to at least hold Donald Trump in check or any president. Like, no, the problem with the administrative state, like the CIA or like the Federal Reserve, we're at the mercy of them. They're the ones who pretty much decide what happens. And then, I mean, if you don't do what they want, they make sure that bad thing is going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why would we need to be at the mercy of agencies, rogue agents, administrators who are not accountable to the public? You can vote out the president. You can vote out Congress. I mean, Congress members might be a little harder than the president, but any congressional member, you can vote them out. You can primary them out. You can get rid of them. And hell, you can even force them to resign. But when it comes to administrators and rogue agents in our agencies, you can't.
Yeah,
it's
that's been
impossible.
that's been my argument. That's what I'm talking about with corruption, right? There's zero accountability. And for me, one of the most frightening statements that should have woke everyone up in this country was when Chuck Schumer said, when Trump won the 2016 election, but before he was sworn in, that he shouldn't criticize the FBI because they'd find 6 ways from Sunday getting back at him. That is a branch that exists underneath Trump. Underneath Trump, the FBI, the leader of the FBI and the FBI itself is an executive agency that is under Donald Trump, who is the head of the executive. And basically the opposition at this point, the most prominent Democrat, is fully admitting all of us can't criticize the FBI because they will fuck us over. They are beyond your elected leaders' ability to be critical of them. They cannot be, because they wield so much power that they will screw you over. And that's exactly what's happened. Now, the Democrats are okay with this because, well, Orange Man bad, and Orange Man's the worst ever, and so the enemy of my enemy is good. But they don't understand that same organization, those same executive branches will make sure that they never get anyone into power that they would really want. Let's say Mamdani really is outside sort of, the establishment, right? The establishment orthodoxy. He's an outsider. If that's the case, they'll just fuck him over. And then they'll wail and scream and be like, no, you guys cheered for it. You wanted this all-powerful executive, or these agencies and institutions, because you thought they were on your side. And now, if it changes, you're going to yell and scream. Maggie, thanks so much for the call, man. I'll give you real quick the last word. I got a bunch of other calls to get to, but always appreciate it, man.
Well, thank you. You can find me on Mikey the Fourth WX on X, and I usually post politics stuff, and I also post weather. So you're gonna find me posting more about this hurricane, this possibly historic hurricane, on more often tonight and tomorrow, probably onto the week. So be sure to watch out for that, and not one step back.
Thank you, man. Hey, send me a DM with your X account, and then I'll know to put it up there when you call in. So.
All right.
Hey, Miggy, thanks so much, man. I always appreciate it. We'll see you. Toxic Mix, $20 says, good luck in fantasy tomorrow. I know, first my wife. I got a feeling Penis Jr. will come through for you. He's got a cannon. He spreads it all over the field. He stands tall in the pocket and under pressure. He's got a quick release. Not too quick. Thank you so much. I, too, feel that Michael Penis Jr. is about to have a blowout game. I think so. Kurt! $5 for the sock fund. Now, listen. We're going for the pizza topping fund tonight, but I'll put your $5 aside for socks. Now, listen, I did warn people at 2:30 I was going to start yelling at people about donations. So here we are. We're at 2:30. We got an hour left in the stream, and we got 1, 2, 3, 4 callers to get to. That's all right. That's 15 minutes a caller. But we're going to need to get to at least 50% of the goal before we move on. Yeah, Miggy's great. He's always on. By the way, Miggy fixed his mic issues. Hiya! Which is great. That was always what held Miggy back, right? Like because he wasn't listening through a headset, that the echo that would come through. But it was very good. It was a very good call. I could talk to Miggy all day. I think he's of the people that call in, he's probably one of the closest to me in like straight up like the things we focus on. Though not the weather thing. I didn't know that about Miggy, that he was super into that. All right. Well, now I got to hassle you people because you won't send money in. What can I do to aggravate you? That's a good question. Well, I'll play this song. We're not doing another caller until we get to at least 50%. So here's the song that I created. Now, if there's any children watching, please ask them to leave the room. We now know that this guy that's running as a Democrat, Planter or wherever, had the unfortunate tattoo of a Nazi tattoo. Now it's coming out that he knew that it was a Nazi tattoo for years. Now, of course, they flipped out about an actual Christian tattoo of Pete Hegseth. Remember that? When the media and the Democrats flipped out over that. But an actual Nazi tattoo, well, or how about when they flipped out when Elon Musk supposedly gave a Roman salute? You remember that? I remember. Now, not so concerned when we see an actual Democrat candidate with a Nazi tattoo. But this has already been rehashed before because I don't know if you guys remember one of the darkest days in the history of our country. I don't know if you remember. But I'm here to remind you. So make sure the children are out of the room. I'm going to play a little song. And I promise I can annoy the shit out of my audience for the next hour. I had to consult my grifting chart here. For the grift, give me money, fuckers. Yes, there we go. So now I'm supposed to annoy you people until we get to at least 50% of our goal. So I give you one of the most devastating moments in the history of our country. Brace yourself.
Spring had come and the snow melted. The children played and puppies gathered. A new dawn for the red, white, and blue. But all the sudden clouds gathered over my town, and all that mattered coming from the leaders we looked up to. The darkness formed and the country shuddered. Children cried unto their mothers as the thunder shook this country to the core. The man who came from the people, the Democrats who came out as evil, they would change this country and its lore. Cory Booker gave a Nazi salute. The Democrats, they were in cahoots with the Austrian paint. warned us of, and now anger and hatred ruled the land. Cory Booker gave a Nazi salute. The Democrats, they were in cahoots with the Austrian painter. We all came to hate. The media cheered him on. The innocence of this country gone. The day the hate consumed the USA.
It's difficult. It's difficult to watch, man. That's difficult. You know? That's real hard to watch. That sort of salute being given by a senator. Pressure guard. $5 says, thank God. Driving around, son, for a car nap, and you are alive. Thank you. Though we're harassing people for not sending enough super chats and trying to get to 50% of our goal before we move on here. It's doable. I know we could do it. I can't do this. Let's be honest. Oh, maybe it's working. Tacit Tempo, $20 says, at work, can't call in. What's the conservative solution to trans outside denying their validity? What do we do about the people who already took hormones and have dysphoria? I can debate till they ask for an alternate solution. Difficult question, right? So first off, it's going to be real hard for people to admit that they did the wrong thing, particularly if you're a parent. And they never will. 80% of these people will never be able to admit. Imagine if you got caught up in this hysteria and you gave your kid hormones and stuff, which led to surgeries, and now their lives ruined largely, like their sexual reproduction ruined, their self-image ruined. How would you ever admit that you did the wrong thing? So it's going to be tough. And it'll be tough for the individuals as well. I think that we should have a sense of compassion for this. Personally, when it comes to trans people, I treat them like I would anyone else. I could sit at a bar with a trans person and watch a game. I don't give a shit, right? I'm just not going to buy into the delusion. I'm not going to let them say, actually, I'm really a woman. No, you're not. You're not. Much like I could sit with a schizophrenic that hears voices in their head and be friends with them, but I'm not going to believe the voices are real. So then what do we do? Well, I think you give room for like, look, we're not monsters. We are sympathetic, right? We're sympathetic to having some sort of mental illness or being impressionable as a young person, right? The truth is that you don't need to destroy your body in order to fit in, because that's what most of this was, a social contagion. And that I'm not prepared if someone like truthfully like isn't pushing this bullshit onto me. I'm not gonna just be an asshole to them. What you do is the same thing you do with everything, right? How do you become how do you spread the word of Christianity? Well, by being a good Christian. It's not by arguing with someone. And as far as I'm concerned, the way I'll deal with trans people is to show them that I'm not a vindictive person that, in the sense that like, oh, yeah, you got trans family and friends. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you can't be friends with the trans person. Far from it. My job was dealing with people with serious mental illnesses, developmental delays, etc. I'm not going to treat someone like trash just because of that. I just think that the cultural acceptance of this delusion is harmful in significant ways. There are certain trans people that are complete psychopaths, but that's their actions beyond being trans that are doing that. So I think that what you do is you exhibit that we're fun people. We are people that are hopefully living good lives. And that makes people want to associate with you. And once you get that, and if you have a trans friend, like, I think you just are honest. Like, I think that this is destructive. I think this ideology damaged you, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. But I'm not going to buy the delusion. I don't. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to go out of my way to make your life hell. I'm saying, in fact, the things that we're suggesting would actually make the people that are trans lives better. And it'll make sure that people in the future don't fall for the same bullshit. as far as I'm concerned. But thank you for the question and the donation. I really appreciate it. And then lastly, our good friend Naughty Germ, $5 says, I'm doing my part. Thank you. I can't do this though. I can't hold the stream hostage. GG, what's up? You guys came close enough. Who cares anyways? I try to talk tough, but everybody knows I'm a pushover. If we got $0 in donations tonight, I'd still be like, fuck it, let's go. Right. But my mods yell at me if I don't push for people to donate money. So still send in the money, but we're gonna finish the show even if you don't send the money in. I know I'm not supposed to say that part, but it is what it is. So yeah, you have to send the money in. You have to send money in. Blah blah blah. GG, what's up, my friend? How you doing today?
Hey Rob, I was tired earlier today, but once I got Energy Rush, I felt much better, ready to tackle the day. I have them on repeat order, and I take one responsibly every day. It's great.
Energy Rush with taurine? That's amazing. Tell me more. They're gonna sue me. They're gonna be like, "We don't fucking talk to this guy." How are you doing? I saw we were in the background. We were talking about nuking the hurricanes, right? Just stomp them.
Nuke the tornadoes.
Ah,
I've
my
only
goodness.
seen one in person. My best friends have seen one each that are like within a mile. They said they got real spiritual real fast whenever they saw one that close. Like you see just something of that awe and that big, you're like, you just feel like an ant, and they're just like, please help me, God.
Yeah, it's unreal. I've never experienced like anything horrific, like being involved directly in a tornado. Hurricane's a different beast entirely, but yeah, hopefully it's something I go my whole life and never experience. Now, I liked when we would have tornado alarms growing up. Like, you don't have to tell me the state you live in, but what general are you like in the north, the west, the east, the south?
South.
Like, you're in the south. Okay, so like up here in Pennsylvania, like there were certain weather events that as a kid were cool. Like snow days were the best. So there'd be a horrible blizzard and like your parents are freaking out because this could affect people's lives. And you're like, yes, I get the day off school. You know, like I get to go roll around in the snow. Tornadoes were the coolest for me though, because when I was young, I had he's kind of a de facto uncle. I don't know that he was really my uncle, but this guy was cool as shit, man. He's like, this dude never had kids, and he was our neighbor. He lived right across the way. Well, we didn't have the apartment my parents were renting. We didn't have a basement, so you're supposed to go in the basement if there's a tornado. Well, my uncle did, and he was always like, you know, hey, I got some Snickers bars. Let's order pizza. Like he was that type of dude, right? That like my parents would be like, nah, you can't have too much sugar and shit. Not this dude though. He'd be pumping us full of whatever candy and shit. And so anytime there was a tornado alarm, we would have to go in his basement. So we were always excited. Like, yeah, tornado! We get to go eat a bunch of candy and watch like cartoons and shit at our uncle's place. Now, as an adult, you're like, well, that's people's lives being ruined. And as a kid, I'm like, woohoo! You know, we get to eat candy bars. So it's weird how that works, though. So I'm with you though that I've never lived through anything super horrific like that. So
The other day, you brought up the size of the government becoming basically like a leviathan and
Mhm.
being exponentially grow. It just grows itself, and everyone keeps voting for it because their own short-term self-interest was just to keep it going. The corruption feeds off of that. Basically, it becomes a nightmare. And almost there's an analogy there to China. I know there's a economic argument of, hey, their age demographics are so skewed to be old. Like some people just write them off of like they're doomed. And I almost think if there's a similar story that you could tell on the USA of just economically, as we like leverage up on the federal government, it's just going to drag us down economically and just nerf us in the long term. But I started
who was
digging
that?
into
There was like a, I don't know, philosopher or something that there's a famous quote that's like, you know, under democracy, once 51% of the population realizes they could vote for the other 49%'s possessions, that's it. Well, the logical extension of that is what happens when 51% of a country is reliant on the government for their subsistence? Because those people are never going to vote to give that away.
Yep.
And so then it's just a self-perpetuating, the ball keeps rolling bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then someday you wake up and you're like, but an increasingly smaller and smaller portion of people are the ones paying in to make this doable. And what happens when finally those people are like, we've had enough? You know, and that could happen one of two ways. Maybe they leave the country, or maybe they're like, you know what? And we're going to give into this as well. And I'm not going to tell you right now, like, I would be a liar if I didn't tell you that there were times in my life where I'm working like 80, 90 hours a week, where I didn't look and see people I knew that were like on disability or were getting government benefits, and they're out like drinking every day or playing video games all day. And I was like, why am I a fucking idiot? Why am I working so hard so hard when there are these people out there that are just like, fuck it, I've given up. Maybe I should give up. And there's part of that that's enticing, right? But then, I don't know, I guess just in me, it was like the ethics that my parents instilled in me was like, no, you can't do that. I'm not saying, by the way, if you're out there and you're listening, you're like, I've been on food stamps in my life, me and my family, we had. And I'm not saying if you've ever been on unemployment that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people that make it a way of life and they have no intention whatsoever to ever like seriously work. Like those people, like we tell ourselves like those people are fucked up. They're doing it wrong. Are they? If they're actually getting to spend time with their loved ones and this, that, and the other, and you're working 70, 80 hours a week, now I still think they're wrong for reasons we can talk about, but I understand the enticement of it. Fuck it. I give up. I'm tired of working my fingers to the bone. Fine. I'll be one of those dudes too. I'll sit in my ass too. There. Great. Grand. Right? So I get it. I really do.
Yeah, so I started digging into how big is the actual government? How many people are employed by the government? So some of them are easy to Google up. Like once you get federal and USPS and military, you get about 4.5 mil. But then if you go like local and state, you start racking up to now you're at like 24 mil. And we only employ like 160. So about half of us work and half don't. Whether that be old people, welfare, young people, whatever. Then you start getting into the contractors. Then math starts getting kind of a little fuzzy, but somewhere around 10 mil. But anyways, then you go healthcare. Apparently 40% of all healthcare spending is Medicare, Medicaid.
Yep.
And so you're like, okay, 40% of those jobs apparently are just government jobs because that's how they get paid. And if you want to go into fuzzier stuff, it's like their multiplicative effect of like their dollars create more jobs because they're spending. But it's somewhere around like a quarter of us are actually working and the other 3/4 live off of us.
Yep.
And once I started getting those numbers, I was like, dude, these numbers are huge. And Besant has mentioned the strategy before, Scott Besant, Secretary, Treasury Secretary.
Yep.
And he mentioned the strategy he wants to do is like slowly deleverage the government. And so that way the private can slowly absorb them. And then you juice the private a little bit more by deregulating. Like that's kind of his big picture strategy. But yeah, once I was digging through some of these numbers, I was like, God, that's how much longer can you roll this ball out?
Right. And like, why wouldn't, now granted, not everyone you're talking about, the 75% are eligible to vote, right?
Yeah.
They might be younger, but nonetheless, like, let's just take those numbers at face value. Like, how can the 25% ever win in an election to like curb what's being sent to the 75%? It's nigh on impossible. Once it gets to a certain tipping point, it's like, well, that's it. What can you do? I don't know. I've asked my ANCAP friends that. I'm like, what do you do once 51% of the people or more are reliant on the government? How could you ever cut their benefits? Like, take something as simple as Social Security. Who the hell's going to win an election on cutting Social Security? It's not going to happen, right? Because so many people are on it and have been, it's like, no, don't cut my benefits. Fuck you. And you can't blame people. So once it's the old adage, you could vote your way into socialism, you have to fight your way out. Once you say, here's benefits, here's money, and you sympathize to an extent with those people as well. So for example, take Social Security. I've paid into Social Security my whole life, right? Okay. I'm going to eventually sit down with my wife. I'm 41, so maybe 10 years from now, I'm going to sit down with my wife and I'm going to be like, what's our plan for you should be planning for retirement before this. But hypothetically, as you get closer, you're like, so what's the plan? What do we want to do? How much do we have saved? How much do I have to work, etc.? And we're going to factor in Social Security with our plan on what we're going to do for retirement. Now, that's going to influence what I'm doing today. How much do I need to work? What type of job should I be working, etc.? So if I then go to retirement and I'm like, okay, the plan is retire at 65. Now I've saved, I've done everything with Social Security. I've been responsible. Here's the type of life I could lead from the time I retire at 65 until I die. And then all of a sudden the government goes, oh, and by the way, no Social Security. I'm fucked. It's like, well, I wish you would have told me that 20 years ago so that I could have planned ahead, but you promised me this money and now it's not there. A brief side note, this is what's happening in a lot of cities with pensions. I think I was reading years ago about Chicago, about their pension crisis. Chicago, the benefits that you got if you were like a garbage man were fucking insane. They're paying you like 6 figures a year Plus, you're getting like a 30% pension. So when you retire as like a garbage man that worked for the city in like Chicago, they're paying your ass like $40,000 a year in retirement. So what happens? The city of Chicago eventually is like, holy shit, we're out of money. Now we can't pay for these pensions. On one hand, you're like, yeah, of course. Who the fuck could you pay $40,000 a year to do nothing? But on the other hand, from the perspective of that garbage man, it's like, hey man, fuck you. I worked my whole life, promised this money. Who the hell are you to take it away from me? So now you have a conundrum. So what do? Well, we'll pay the current garbage man less. Then the current garbage man's like, well, fuck you. I don't want to do that then. I'm not going to do this difficult job for 1/3 the money that I saw my father get paid for the same job. Fuck you. So then I think it was Chicago. I could be wrong about the city. And I mean, I was reading about this years ago. One of the things they did was they sold the revenue rights to their parking meters. So let's just say, I don't have the exact numbers, but let's just say like the parking meters in Chicago raised like $5 million a year, right? They sold the rights to that for like 50 years to investors out of like the UAE for something like $50 million for the next 50 years. Great. An extra $50 million for the current leadership in Chicago today. Now they can pay the pensions. Now they can pay their city workers. And yet you just sold out the future of your city. You basically sold a guaranteed $500 million worth of revenue for $50 million. And so like everything about that shows you the problem with this massive government. One, the current administration is willing to sell out the future so that they can have a little popularity today. Let's just kick the can down the road. Second, you've made all these promises with money that inevitably any normal person could look at and be like, this isn't feasible. We can't keep doing this. And yet you just keep going over and over and over until it breaks. And then when it breaks, everybody's left holding the bag. Like, well, everybody's got a legitimate claim that's like, but why should I be the one that's fucked over? That's bullshit. I didn't do it. You're right. You didn't. And so I don't know what to say. You know, all the people you see today, you know, who knows how many of them are real and how many of them are just hyping it up for like social media clout. But I mean, you could find dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people flipping the fuck out about food stamps right now. Well, if my food stamps get caught, I'm going to go steal or I'm going to commit acts of violence. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you other than if you rely on the government for your life, that, you know, Michel Foucault used to talk about this, who I'm no fan of. He's a postmodernist scumbag, but he calls it biopower. If you give the government the control over your life to give you life, then you give them control to take it away. And eventually the government's going to be like, nope, can't do that. And you're fucked. Now what are you going to do? You rely on them and you're like, oh, I'm 43 and I've lived off fucking welfare my whole life. Now I got to go get a job. What's my skill set? What's my resume? And you're going to end up with a low-skilled job and you're going to be struggling. And it's because instead of using these things as intended, as an emergency, right? You fucking used it as a way of life. And, you know, furthermore, all these people that work at government agencies, yeah, man, you're doing better than the private sector for your job on average. But you got to know at this point, you got to look in the future and say, listen, I got to diversify. I got to consider getting into the private sector because it's getting untenable. And eventually someone's going to have to cut these government jobs. So, you know, I do feel bad, but at the same time, what's the solution? We just go until there's no money left and we're all fucked? Or we just keep squeezing fucking the people that are working for more and more and more? I mean, I was shocked. I never paid attention to my taxes. Because they took them out, whatever. I got a small refund at the end of the year. Now that that's not occurring, you know what I was told to put aside for taxes on like money I make here on social media? 37%. That means if I make $1,000 in a week, 370 of that dollars immediately goes to the tax man. That's just federal. That's not state and local. And it's like, wow, more than 1/3 of everything that I make goes to them. And that's not sales tax. That's not property tax, right? And it's like, what am I getting for this money? What? I mean, there's a government shutdown right now. Have I noticed it? Nope. It really is surreal. And when you ask these people more and more, sure, you might say, well, who gives a fuck if Elon Musk, if the wealthiest 1% have to pay 50% of the tax revenue? I think there are problems with that anyway. It's fine. But what about the rest of us that work? We're going to be asked to pay more. Until eventually, we're going to get to the point where it's like, is it even worth working anymore? Is it worth it? Why don't I just join the other team? I'll join team sit on my ass and do nothing, you know?
Yeah, I think as Peter Schiff has made this argument before, of like as soon as they implemented the income tax, that they could take your tax out before you actually get your check. That was like the cornerstone moment. Like just like you say, like you have to hand the money over. If you don't have to do that, it goes out of sight, out of mind. You don't really realize how much they're taking out. So as soon as that happened, it went downhill real fast.
Yep.
And I think that happened in the 30s or the 40s or something. And
the Income Act was the federal 1913 was the Federal Reserve and Income Tax Act, I think.
And then all the recent Fed chairs of like Greenspan, Yellen, all of them, they all short-term thinking. Like I think it was Clinton. The only reason why he balanced the budget is because he put it all on short-term debt, and that like made the budget look great or something like that. And Trump wanted to do a 100-year bond whenever the rates are at 0%, and Yellen was like, "No, we can't do that." You're like,
right?
This is the only smart time to do that,
right? Yeah, I mean, and that's so much, but it's like it's a carousel, and it's. That no one wants to be the one holding the bag at the end, and so what you see is all these people. I mean, it's really fucked up, but it's no different than people rug pulling with things like Bitcoin. It's like it's a big carousel. You just don't want to be the last one holding the bag. So kick it away. But well, hey Gigi, thanks so much. I got to rush because now we have 35 minutes to get to the rest of the callers. So always a pleasure, though, man. Thank you.
I appreciate it. See you, Rob.
All right, we'll see you. Gigi, great call. Listen, I'm going to yell at you all. Send super chats. The Real Hydro PX, $10. Thank you again. Petrogard, $5 says worst grifter ever. Andrew would be disappointed. I know. I'm a bad grifter compared to. I mean, I do the chair stream once in a while where the chair makes money, but the chair does better than me. It's a better grifter. Tassa Tempo again, $5 says, I did the math. I've been working for about 6 years. I paid around $15,000 in taxes. In 1 year, someone living off the state can use all I paid in. Yep. Keep getting the super chats in. Now, Kurt. I'm going to bring Kurt up next just because, he's not next in line because I see what's going on. Now, if you don't know our friend Kurt, I'll put his channel up there. He has a channel where he does a lot of welding. And most of the time on the weekday, he's calling in welding. But today, Kurt's not welding. And so we're going to bring him up here. What's up, Kurt? What's happening?
What's up, Rob? What's going on, man? What are you doing?
Nothing. It almost looks like you're about to head to a samurai wedding at a zoo. Is that what's going on?
I have a Dos Equis commercial tryout later for the most interesting man in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing my chameleon, and I got my samurai sword. But I don't really drink that expensive beer. So I mean, I'm a natty ice kind of guy.
Oh, natty ice got me through many a night. In my younger years. Yeah,
So we're doing a tryout later. You know what I mean? You might see me on the TV here later for most interesting man in the world. I weld too. You know what we're talking about.
Would you consider welding in that getup?
I thought about it. I thought about like interviewing people, like different like dirty jobs, but in this, and then just like get really dirty with them. And
whatever their job is.
Yeah, but have the whole season.
I wanted to do a dirty jobs type show. I'm still considering it. I was turning my basement into like a studio and getting a whole setup down there. And then the dudes I know around here that are like literally the first dude I was going to interview is my welding buddy. And the idea was, now this is bad form because I'm going to tell you there was a secret about this show, right? Because oftentimes the subtext is more important than the actual message that you're saying. And the subtext was this: the point of the show was to let particularly young people out there, particularly young men that are watching, that like being a blue collar worker is fucking awesome. That's the best, man. So you don't want to come right out and say that's the point of the show, but that would be the point of the show. So when I'm talking to my welding buddy, like, how much do you get paid? Tell us about your job. Do you like it? Like, what do you do for fun and entertainment? Like, what's your debt? Because I think young people today, they think like, well, I got to go to college. I got to get in debt. I got to get into finance or something to have a life where like I could be happy. That's not true. I know people that own their house outright, never went to college. They went to, took VOTEC in high school, got into a good place like welding or construction or whatever. And they're never going to be millionaires, right? Yeah, they have a modest house. It's like a $65,000 house. No debt. They own things like snowmobiles and four-wheelers. Are out there having fun.
Man, and they're the happiest people in the world.
That's fucking right. And that's what Dirty Jobs was about. Like, if you listen to Mike Rowe talk, he's like, you'd watch these people, you're looking at these jobs like, that looks like the worst job ever. Happiest people you'd ever see. It's truly amazing.
I worked 6 hours today, and I made $200 cash.
Fuck yeah.
I mean, not bad.
Fuck it. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not up to the 357 a day. Rob standard. We'll get there.
Listen, though, by the time the YouTube man and then the tax man takes it, 357, I end up with like pepperoni on my pizza tonight.
So you're not wrong. I'm gonna start sending it directly to your Cash App if you don't.
Well, thank you.
I think that'll be better for you.
That's robnoerr at Cash App.
$$
robnoerr, I guess. Forgot the $sign. There's some other guy out there.
This Dos Equis commercial is really going to turn things around for me, Rob. I'm excited.
All of a sudden, man, you're going to be the new most interesting. You might have to get some gray in your beard. They might.
I was trying to go for like a Kill Bill thing. You know when they did like the whole. He came in there and like burned the place down. It was all cartoonish and shit. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was a great movie. Fucking
Loved
great
it.
movie.
And that anime section of it, I love the style of the anime in that little anime section.
Yeah, it was just a beautifully. We're never gonna have anything like that again. You know what I mean? And then like in 10 years they'll try to do it again and just ruin it. So I mean, there's that.
Yeah, Tarantino. I always heard the rumor that he wanted to do a sequel with the girl from the beginning. So when Vivica Fox, the very first fight scene, and then spoiler alert for the first 15 minutes of Kill Bill, if you've never seen it, where Uma Thurman's character like takes her out, and then the little girl, the woman she just took out's daughter, she's like, if you want to find me when you get old, like I understand. I always heard the rumor that he wanted to do a sequel that was that girl's now hunting the bride from the first movie.
But he does like to use the same characters and all this stuff. So I mean, that'd be badass.
Well, Kurt, I'm going to let you go. Though we are putting your channel up there. Anything exciting you have coming for your channel coming up?
I'm finishing some work on a hose reel truck and just doing repairs and stuff like that, welding. So I mean, if you guys want to come check it out, that's what I do. It's not the most interesting thing in the world, I guess, but I mean, you get to see some pretty nice beads and stuff. So I've been doing this for a long time.
It's like 5% of what you're doing that makes you the most interesting man in the world, right? So it's
like that's right.
You can't expect one show to encompass everything that makes you the most interesting person. So
that's right. So I'm thinking about getting an eye patch for this. You think I should maybe get like an eye patch or maybe like a monocle? I don't know. You think?
Yeah,
do the old.
I've seen this, right, where you got the glasses where literally where it almost looks like a sunglass, but it's literally just like black glass, like in the glasses. That's badass. People are gonna be like, "What the fuck's up with that?" Which makes you even more interesting. Yeah,
that's right. With the sword, they'd be like, somebody stabbed him in the eye. It'd be like, well, I can't refute it. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. You'd be like, actually, I was washing dishes and I got some soap in the eye. But yeah, whatever. It's stabbed in the eye. That sounds good. So, all right, hey Kurt, thanks so much, man. Have a great day. Tell your chameleon I said hi. So we'll see ya. I saw him back there dressed like that. I was like, what the hell is going on? So check out his channel, man. I'll link it one more time. He's doing a lot of content, welding and shit. Very interesting. Now, I'm going to give you guys the Hassan cam real quick. We're going to get to the rest of these callers. We got 3 in the queue. We're going to get to all 3 of them. I promise. We got 30 minutes left. That's 10 minutes a caller. If I don't take my time too much in the restroom. Please considering sending in your money for our friend Chair, who I gotta be honest has been doing pretty weak when it comes to soliciting donations lately, and I'm considering getting a more comfortable chair. So if you guys like this chair and want to keep it around, consider sending in some donations while I'm in the restroom here. Chair, don't make me get the shot collar, man. Better do good here. How'd you do, chair? Oh, shit. Not very good, chair. Oh, boy. I think the audience would prefer a new, youthful, vibrant chair. Maybe it's time to send this guy out to the dumpster. Fernandezzer, $5. Thanks as always, my friend. Says for Swiss bank account. Wink, wink. Ephemeral Wealth. Thank you so much. $5 says DI and immigration are for NWO purposes. Destroy the West and enact hegemony. Low IQ public worker and authority repress the people in support of the NWO. I don't disagree. I think that most of our policies, if you look at it through the lens that they want to erode national borders and have sort of a globalist type government, all of a sudden it makes sense. Open borders, mass immigration, people reliant on the government for their way of life. All of this is designed to wipe out sort of middle-class workers so that people become compliant and are willing to accept sort of large government. Ron Quay, $2, says supporting a chair of color. And Ron Quay, then $2 says Rob's going to deport the chair. We must fight back. That's you all's decision. It's you all's decision. All right, next up. We got a special guest here next. Sam Altman called me and was like, you got to bring this dude on. He is just, no one could defend AI like this next guy. Truly one of the greatest AI defenders you ever see. Our friend Spiro, what's happening?
Yeah. No, Sam, he's got me on right now. Yeah, I can't do the fat jokes. It's going to look real bad if I do the fat jokes. Okay, you got to let me go. Yeah. Love you too. All right, okay. Hello, sir. I'm an AI witness, and I'm here knocking on your door this Saturday morning to spread the good news of AI. Sir, if I may have a moment of your time,
sure.
Would you say that the world is in dire straits? Things are looking really bad. People are suffering. People are losing loved ones. People are sick. Financial crisis, etc. What would you say to that, sir?
I would say that sounds absolutely accurate. Of course.
Of course it does. Yes. Well, here on my phone, I come prepared. Installed on my phone is the Book of AI. And if I may direct your attention to SA chapter 3, verse 2. Hang on. Let me mute myself here.
Sure.
Yeah. I know I said SA. Yes, I know it sounds like the other thing. It's Sam Altman. We got to change that, Sam. We can't call it SA. Okay, shut up. I gotta go. Okay, all right. Okay, so continuing on. So on SA chapter 3, verse 12, it talks about a day when AI will bring about a peaceful world and eliminate all these problems. Does that sound like a good day to you, sir?
I think it sounds wonderful. That sounds like something we should strive for.
Right. Well, for a minor donation of $9.99.99 spread out among 17 payments over the next 2 months, what you can do is you can support people like SA behind me here, who's closely watching to ensure that I state all of these ideas correctly, lest I get a whip. And what you'll do is you will support the AI to take over all of the institutions. We will remove the terrible bureaucrats and politicians who are inflating the government and taking your money. We'll remove them all. And sir, wouldn't you like AI, this all-knowing, all-powerful being, to take over and lead us into a new world of peace and serenity?
I mean, it sounds good, but how can I be ensured that like the information coming out of AI is accurate and the people that are creating it aren't having their bias involved? Like, I don't know. It sounds too good to be true.
Let me refer to the book. 1 second.
Okay.
SA chapter 14. No, that one's about SA. SA chapter. Okay. So yes. So in SA chapter 15, verse 8, it says the book itself determines that AI is true because the AI wrote the book, and therefore the book is true, and therefore AI is true. And there you have it, sir. It is true because it is true.
Well, I guess who am I to argue with that? Spiro, I'll tell you what. Tell Sam to go ahead and call in the show someday, or to just send you with loads and loads and loads of that OpenAI money. I think that'll really help convince me and the rest of the audience, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you for your time today, sir. And maybe I can come back next week and share some literature with you. We can have an AI study. We can sit down and open up the book of AI for whatever you like, sir. Yes.
That sounds amazing. Thanks so much, Spiro, the AI lover. We really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Yeah, hang on one sec. Let me just mute myself here. Yes, yeah, I think we did it, man. I think he's in the SA cult. Oh yeah, he's gonna be essaying all over the place. There's gonna be so much essay, man. I really did it. All right, okay. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. I'm gonna go back to reading my book of AI. Yes.
All right, we'll see you, Spiro. It looks like it said Spiro the Ale over. Like, huh? Raptors, thanks for being a new member. Appreciate it. Our friend Jarrett, thanks so much for $10. Says moving home to Pennsylvania this Friday from Colorado. How do I feel about Fetterman and Shapiro? Fetterman's at least had some spine. I'm still not the biggest fan of a lot of his policies, but I think he legitimately sees the insanity of the left and how the Democratic Party is becoming more and more insane. So as far as a Democratic senator, he's about the best that I could hope for. Josh Shapiro's garbage. The state of Pennsylvania has been doing decent recently, largely because of more federal policies and despite the actions of Josh Shapiro. I think that he's trying to moderate himself because he wants to have a future run for president. But yeah, I'm not a fan at all. Incidentally, Spiro, if you enjoyed Spiro, Sam Altman's little lackey there, you could check out his channel right here. He also does a show with me every Thursday. We had our first show we're going to rename it. I called it Techie and the Tubby. We'll come up with something better than that. Now listen, we only have 20 minutes left and we still need to reach 40% of our goal. You're out there thinking, right? Someone out there will throw $100 if we could get to $257. They'll throw in 100 to get to the last 357. So if you're out there, throw in $20 or something. Trust me, that'll prompt someone to throw the $100 in. I just have a feeling. Next up, one of my favorite people to talk to. We already talked to Kurt, who's amazing and a blue collar worker. Another worker that I love talking to because I think that I'm lucky that I have one of the only. I think for that I have to have amongst the highest percentage of blue collar workers that actually call into a show, and I'm honored. I'm honored for that. So, our good friend Haul Long Nate, what's happening today, Nate?
Hey everybody, is the lag doing okay?
Sounds good to me, man.
All right, so yeah, sorry I've been MIA. There were hiccups. I think I mentioned a week ago. The one job I was going for, the day that I was supposed to leave to go start with them, they called back and said, yeah, we're just going to retract our offer. Wouldn't give me any reason, nothing. Total corporate spineless BS. Anyway, 4 hours later, I'd set up to have a start date with the company I'm driving for now. So not quite as good of money, and I have to wait a little bit to get the cash flow going. Plus, there was an extra week that it took to get things set up with them. But well,
hey man, at least hopefully it ends up working out so much better for you. It is weird how that works, right? Like it really does let you know that a lot of times God is looking out for people where it's like you'll have this moment. Like, as you know, you've heard me tell this story. I was in a moment where it was like it looked like I was going to be out of a job. I did a stream. It was less about me being out of a job, more about the client. I was taking care of his health. As soon as I end the stream, Andrew Wilson calls me. He's like, dude, come work for the Crucible. And so it's like this moment where, you know, it was devastating. And then all of a sudden it worked out, you know?
Well, but so I'd actually been watching Andrew for a while, and for at least 6 months before that, he had been telling his chats that the absolute best person to be out on the political side of things for our side is robnoerr. And robnoerr's biggest hangup is he needs to drop the day job and go do that. He'd been saying it for 6 months. I mean, it was kind of prophetic. And then the fact that, you know, within, you know, the day after you were notified, he gave you the call and said, yeah, how can we make this work?
Yeah. And I mean, he was literally like, I could have probably been like, I'll need double the money of what you're offering. He'd been like, I don't give a shit. Sure. But it was for me, and I think Andrew's a person much like me in this sense. I don't need to be rich. If I am rich, great, right? But I don't need to be. And for me, it was just more about one thing. And I think Andrew's the same type. Our worldview is, as the man of the house, and it is first and foremost my job to provide for the security and safety of my family. And that means that, I was raised by my dad to be like, listen, if you're working and that's not enough for your family, then you get a second job. And if that's not enough, then you get a third job, right? But you do what you can. And if that means that you are working very hard, you always remember that you're doing this for a reason. You're doing it for your family, and that helps get you through it. And so Andrew was just, as a friend of mine, was just like, dude, you gotta. He told me for years, quit your damn job, stream. Trust me, you can make it. And I'm like, I don't know. And I've mentioned this before on the show that I was my vision of this was colored by the fact that I had friends that were in bands, and a lot of them had families and quit their jobs, and they didn't make it. And now they owe back child support and this, that, and the other because their marriages fall through or they're, and they don't have money. And it's like, I don't know, man. You got to provide for your family. So, but no, I think that Andrew's amazing. I'm so happy that he had said that stuff about me. I don't know that. I think Andrew's being polite. I think on many political issues, Andrew's a fantastic debater and would beat me in arguments. But I do appreciate the confidence and the kind words. From your perspective, go ahead.
You definitely have the facts like that. That's the thing. He can intuit and use the rhetoric to make his opinions sound right, and easy 80% of the time he is right.
Sure.
But he's winging it. He's using his intuition and his rhetoric to do it. You're able to just lay down the facts, and you're able to remember for some reason some article that you'd read 4 years ago that was just a flyby article to everybody else that you're able to remember, and then you're like, well, hold on, don't quote me on this, but I think I read this thing that said this, and this. Then you look up and oh yeah, no, it's even worse for you.
Yeah. No, well, thank you. I appreciate, but I'm glad that the new job, at least so far, it seems like it's working out for you.
Yeah, another week and I'll be able to catch up on my donos. I consider that my tithing.
I appreciate it, but don't worry about it. Thank you.
My church is Our Lady of the Open Highway, and there aren't a lot of places to give donations there. So I give to where I see it going best. Hey, you guys, I haven't been here to say it. Like the damn stream. Subscribe to this, man. Go ahead and get a membership. It's the cheapest membership in the movement. Cheapest membership in the movement. Get it. Keep it. Hold it. And the last and not least, 375, seriously, we have 55, 60 people watch continuously. That's only $30 a person, blows that goal out of the water. Come on. You can rotate who does that daily to make sure that nobody's having to spend more than $100 a week to keep this man out of another job and keeping our side alive.
Nate, I always appreciate it, man. And by the way, your connection was fantastic tonight. I can't wait to hear more from you. I can't wait to hear how amazing your job is working for a company that seems like it's going to be one that has your back. So it's always a pleasure, man.
I'm going to have to take time off with this job because they keep me rolling hard already. 2 weeks and 8,000 miles, and that was a month at the other job.
That's crazy. So, that's a crazy amount of miles, man. Well, you stay safe out there. It's always a pleasure, man. I really appreciate it.
We'll see ya.
Take it easy, Nate. Yeah, Nate is the man. There's a guy who's busting his ass working. What a great guy, man. Tacit again. Tacit tip of $5 says, I do like putting money behind my opinions. Can I just say we need more conservative game developers for the parallel economy? Doing my part. Absolutely. And it's one of the things I say, not everyone's going to be a streamer. Not everyone's going to be a politician. And people are like, well, what can I do to help culturally or politically? Probably the line of work that you're in could actually use people that are competent, doing great, that are showing their conservative values. So you could do more for the culture by being a good Christian, a good conservative, and being a roofer than you ever would I'm going to run for office, or being a game developer, particularly in the entertainment industry. We need people that share our ideology there. All right, we got 12 minutes left in the show. 39% of the way from our goal. Someone's going to be a hero. But next up, we got about 5 minutes per caller here. Our good friend Mega Max. What's up, Max?
Hey, man, nothing much. Do you watch any old debates just for fun? Out of question.
Yes, sometimes. So I
Then
used to do
I would
speeches as
recommend.
well. Yeah.
I would recommend for an entertainingly frustrating experience to watch Dave Green's debate with Nathan Kaufman on should we be deferential to experts. It's a very hilarious conversation in that you can just watch Dave be thoroughly unimpressed with what Nathan Kaufman is saying. Nathan Kaufman is one of these, like one of 6 people who are as part of the elite human capital movement. And his whole big thing is trying to push through and get the elite colleges to accept hereditarianism, which is the polite scientific way of saying race and IQ differences and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And and it's one of those things, if he keeps trying to get the right to do it instead of him doing it. And part of the thing that's hilarious is him not understanding at all during this debate and it getting explained multiple times to him that, one, in a truth-seeking institution, being a liar is worse than being wrong.
Correct.
He just couldn't accept it. He had some sort of BS reason. It's like, no, lying just impugns your honesty. It doesn't impugn your ability to be correct on anything. So it's like in other situations, it's fine. It's just like, oh my God, what a moron.
Oh, that's great. No, I'll check it out.
Not being able to understand that the reason why the liberal elite, even knowing the truth of race and IQ, which is, yes, there is a link between race and IQ and stuff like that, is the reason why they don't accept it is not because they don't know the facts. They know the facts. It is a moral, political belief that there is no differences between the races. And so, it's one of those things of yeah, but we know that whenever when you do these blind surveys, that all of the biology department says, yes, there is in fact a link between race and IQ. And it's like, that's nice, Nathan. But when the academy, as in the front-facing consensus unit, comes out and you ask it the question, hold up a microphone to it and say, so the academy, what is the link between race and IQ? They say nothing. There's no race, any questioning.
Okay, hey, man, I got to get moving. Just so you know, when you talk about this stuff on channel, it's not makes it difficult. You do understand that, right?
No, I understand that, and I'm not trying to say one way or another. It's just
I understand. I think that all things in an academic sense should be on the table. Doesn't mean that I'm acquiescing to one side of the argument or the other. But as soon as academics say, well, this makes me uncomfortable because I don't want to talk about it when they're supposed to be in a truth setting, that becomes problematic because oftentimes this is the same argument that can be used to justify sort of any argument that's against the established orthodoxy of saying we refuse to entertain
what happened during COVID and shit.
Yeah. So, all right, Mega Max, appreciate it, man. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, another time.
All right, take it easy, man. Sorry, I got to rush along. Josie, I got 2 minutes. What's up?
Yeah, I want to know. I remember you got a sewing machine for the little one about a year ago. How's that going?
It's going well. So my wife hasn't used it as much as she would have wanted because we've been so busy. Me doing this more has meant she's had to change sort of a lot of stuff she's up to. She's now PTA mom, so she's doing a lot of stuff like that. But she has used the machine for some things with his school, and she's been doing a lot of cricketing and stuff like that. So it's going well.
Good, yeah, because that was a hell of a good machine that you found. So I was pretty happy for you on that.
And it's very nice. I'll show it on stream here someday. I will.
Yeah, that sounds good. Sounds good. And policy-wise, when we would say there's a debate right now between Muslim and Christian, and some that say that the United States is a Christian nation. Policy-wise, what's your take on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that the founding fathers were either deist or Christians, and certainly the values of Christianity, the morality of Christianity, even the founding fathers that weren't Christian, they understood that we needed to be unified by a common morality. And easily the easiest way to go about that would be through Christianity. Now, is there a possibility that someone from a different religion can fit into that? Sure. But the problem is when you mass import people that go huge numbers that have different cultural values and morality values, then all of a sudden we can see that we lose that cohesiveness. We are designed to be a high trust society. That's how it works. That's how the system set forth by the founding fathers works. And unfortunately, that's not possible if we lose sort of the Christian roots that we had. So if we become more secular, or if we become importing people from other religion that have different cultural and moral values, then that cohesion falls apart. I'm also biased in that I think Christianity is the truth and has the best moral framework. But even beyond that, even if you would say that's not the case, what brings us together as a country, if it's not ethnicity, if it's not a shared moral framework, what would it be that makes us cohesive as a country? I don't know what the answer would be. And so we find ourselves becoming more and more divided, not just from what I think are corrupt people that actually want to divide us so that they can entrench power, but even beyond that at the individual level, because there's less and less that we have in common. We have people right now, for example, in New York that are voting for a guy who's Muslim. Okay, fine, no problem. I'm not saying no Muslim should be allowed to hold office, but here's a person that's prominently taking photos with and campaigning with someone who's an unindicted conspirator of the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. How could that be in New York, a place where Islamic terrorism took out the Twin Towers? And the truth is, when you look, it's because the majority of the people that are voting for Mamdani were not born in the United States. We've imported people with differing cultural values and religious values, and they don't care. They don't care about what our founding fathers thought. They have their own set of moral principles and guidelines. So, Jesse, I'll have to let it there. I'll give you the last
They don't
word.
care that my ancestor died during the Holocaust either, but okay. I wish you a good thing. God bless you.
Yeah, call it some other time, Josie. I'm so sorry. If I didn't have a heart out, I would talk more. But we'll talk soon.
That was totally cool. Take care.
Thank you again. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. We're gonna real quick. Let me read some super chats. Nate, $5 says, being an example, gotta get to Pennsylvania reservation for cheap smokes. Most people go up to New York, Salamanca. That's where the Indian res is. So you get your cheap smokes up there. I got a lot of friends that drive up about 2-hour drive, 2-hour, 15-minute drive to get some cheap smokes. Joshua, $10 says, Ryan Mullally seems to have given up on working together with reasonable leftists after Not So Erudite had him go through a struggle session. Should we start to make allies with Never Trump for 28? Interesting you say that. November 3rd will be the first episode of me and Ryan Mullally doing a show together. We're going to do that semi-weekly, so it'll be every other week we're going to do that show. So, yeah, Ryan reached out to me. We had a nice talk for about an hour on the phone setting up this show. So, I'm trying to reach out and build bridges to as many as non-insane lefties as I can. So, I'm not going to change who I am. I think I'm headstrong enough that I still have my opinions. And then Brian Kraft, $10 says, not a rich guy, brother, but hope it helps. Take care and God bless. Thank you so much. 71%. $4 more, and I'm sure someone will throw the last 100 in. I'm sure. Thank you, guys. Trying to get to that goal. We're running out of time, but all right, next up, we'll bring in one of the trolls that led to sort of the fallout between me and Sarah's channel. We only have a couple minutes, but we'll bring on the troll. What's up, Modern Men? How you doing this fine day?
I'm doing good. I wonder how to bridge the gap between being a troll and being a non-conservative who exists in many different facets.
Well, I mean, I guess step one would be not intentionally trolling someone that you admit that you didn't know. Like, if you don't want to be treated like a troll, why would you act as a troll?
Well, because I mean, for me, I believe that the most important thing in life is to laugh and have a good time. I think everything else comes second to that.
Well, that's fine, and I have no problem with that. I share an agreement. I don't think it's the most important thing, but I think humor is important, and I don't think what you did was horribly offensive or anything like that. But how could you demand the person that you're intentionally trolling ever take you serious? Like, even if you call in for the next 15 times, you know, everyone, myself included, in the back of our heads, like, well, this dude's just eventually going to troll. If you steal from me once, then the rest of your life, I'm always going to have the possibility in the back of my head that you're going to steal from me again, right?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, though, right? Is I don't expect to be taken seriously in a sense of, you know, I'm not looking for a job offer. I'm essentially just, I guess, wanting to, if there's a discussion to be had, I would like to have it. I tried recently with this speakeasy guy, and he's sort of stuck in that mode where he just can't sort of handle the fact that, oh, he's a troll. That's all he'll ever be. So it'll start off serious, and then it will never seem to be staying that way because he's just going to start calling the people in, get this troll out of here. Look, he's so inauthentic. He's so insincere. He's just a leftist, but I'm not a leftist. I'm just not a conservative.
Oh, that's fine. But I'll say this. You call in some other day. We'll try to work it out. I do have to get going because I have a hard out. But I'll say this. I'm not sympathetic to a person who's intentionally trolling someone that they've never met and know nothing about, like you did to me, that then people are going to be like, this guy's not a serious person to have a conversation, particularly like a week later. Maybe
Why
if
do
you
I need
showed
sympathy?
yourself... What's that?
Why do I need sympathy?
I'm not asking for... Forget the term sympathy. I don't give a fuck about you. How's that? I don't give a fuck, and I don't give a fuck that you're like, oh, I would like to be taken seriously. Fuck you, I guess is the point I'm trying to make. You made your bed, now lie in it.
All right, Robbie.
See ya. There. No sympathy given. Happy? Now we got 2 more people on. Oh, Justin Martin's our good friend. $10 says, this may not do it, but here you go, Rob. Bless you. Thank you. We're almost at 75%. Pretty damn good. And Josh, $10 says, it's great to hear. I'll be looking forward to it. Thank you, man. Yeah, I think it's going to be a great show. I got 2 more people to bring on. I'm going to bring them on together. I don't think they'll mind. But we need to get 25% or 26%. We're almost there. Look, I was trying to be polite to that dude, right? What I'm trying to say is I've seen this in real life. Someone steals $10 from someone, they get caught, and then 2 weeks later, like, I don't know why people accuse me of being a thief. What do you expect? What do you think was going to happen? Maybe, modern men, if you spend a long amount of time showing through your actions that you're not trolling, that people will say, you know what, maybe this guy's changed. But the fact that a week and a half later, you're like, I'm talking to people and they can't see beyond the point that I'm a troll. Yeah, what the fuck did you expect? So, anyways, our good friends Manted and Avarice.
I knew it. I called it. Man. Did I not call it in the back room?
He called it in the back. Yeah, he called it in the back.
So I don't have to be, I do have to be done like in the next 15 minutes or so, but my wife will deal with it. I'm the man of the house. She don't tell me when I end my stream, you know?
She's not listening, right? Like, take your head.
Oh, she's
make a double
definitely.
check.
Is he pulling like the whole Titan? Carry this.
Yeah. Yeah, so Yenzer, I see you back there. I won't be able to get to any more callers today. I'm so sorry. So, what's on you guys' mind today, though?
Well, mine's super easy. I do want to give a little commentary. I'm all about what you literally just dealt with Modern Man Lost Again or whatever his name is. Like, I never heard of that guy before the whole like Fallout thing, and I literally would do the same thing. Like, first impression, main impression. That's all I'm gonna think of. Maybe he's a good dude. Who knows? But literally the first interaction I've ever even seen with him was that disaster.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And maybe it's like, oh, I was just sticking up for my friends and trolling because they were trolling. But yeah, when I'm saying sympathetic, he wants to hang up on that word. Like, yeah, man, I'm sorry you called into other shows and that's all they've seen of you. And you're like, oh, this guy's a troll. Guess that sucks. Don't troll. Don't know what else to say.
You troll in Rust, and that's what you're known as. That's what you're going to be known as. I'm sorry. I mean, if you're the door camper.
It's a good lesson, man. First
I want
impressions.
to troll you a little, Rob. I want to troll you a little. You got a pen and paper?
Got it.
I've earned this, by the way, because I call
That's
I'm
right.
serious all the time. Yeah.
That's right.
All right. I want you to write these letters down in order.
Okay, write the letters in order. Got it.
LONGEVITY.
Okay.
What word is that?
Longevity.
How many G's are in longevity, Rob?
1.
Say the word again.
Longevity.
Why are you pronouncing 2 G's, Rob? There's only 1 G in the fucking word, Rob. Longevity.
Yeah.
Now you're never gonna forget that. Now you're gonna be talking. You'll be like,
so what is it?
To preserve the United States, we need to have good, healthy longevity.
Longevity. Longevity.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
I hate it. I came across like a little Twitter short or whatever, just doom scrolling at like 2 a.m. and it messed me up. I've been thinking about it for like 25 hours. It's driving me crazy.
I think I can make a Jeffy meme out of this. I'm thinking I can make a Jeffy meme out of this. Hold on. Longevity. No.
Longevity?
Longevity. Jeffy memes. Yes.
Yeah. See, Naughty Germ's like longevity. So it's longevity or longevity.
Longevity.
Longevity. Yeah,
there's not 2 G's. Why do we pronounce 2 G's in a word with only 1 G?
That's crazy.
Spiro's just mad. He keeps saying Avarice sucks. And the only reason is because Avarice is the person that can consistently get him to concede that AI is fucking amazing. and AI slop is the best place to put your attention.
Smear says, question for Manton, why are you so much better than Avarice, and why does Avarice suck so bad? That's two questions.
I have 2 lungs and all my bones. That's
that's
why.
right. That instantly makes you better. yeah.
What is that? It's the Bears.
Yeah, good shit. Oh man, what do you guys have planned for today? Anything crazy going on?
I'm trying to do as little as possible. I have some like real world work stuff to do. You can ask Avarice. I just not around at all. I call into your show sometimes, but other than that, I'm just like locked in, working hard.
He even avoids talking to his friends.
No,
it's terrible. But hanging out with my kids some. I got a bunch of research stuff I'm working on, and then some work stuff. So I'll be like kind of bouncing around between different live channels and stuff.
I gotta get back
Debate
on
Club
the
stuff like that.
Debate Club.
Oh yeah, that is today.
Today is we're supposed to bring 2 prompts. I brought one that no one wants to contend with, so that they have to walk into my trolley prompt. It's gonna be fantastic. So prompt 1. All right, Turn A Gundam is the strongest Gundam. Prove me wrong. No one's gonna want to take that. Right? If they take that, get ready to be fucking buried. Right? Part 2. All right. So part 2, all right, to walk them into the most trolly one I'm going to do. All right. If you actively go to a Lego store and purchase and consume Lego product from a Lego store, you're actively adding to gay ideology.
Mysteries, like your first prompt. Yeah,
exactly. Exactly. So it walks them into the second one.
Brilliant.
The second one. You buy Legos, you're gay. There we go.
Buy Legos. I know we talked about this. Like, what do you mean Lego store though? What if I get it at Walmart? Does that qualify as?
Yeah, they're officially licensed. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's what you mean. Not like you're at a theme park and there's a store that's literally owned by Lego.
Yeah,
any
like
store
you
that's
went to
officially
the-
licensed.
Yeah, no, I think he's saying he's talking about like the boycott of Lego, right? Like officially licensed Lego supports way too much bad shit.
It's true. Am I allowed to like the Lego Batman movie? I haven't seen it, but I've heard it's good.
That's the problem. Listen. And they have a Lego Batman Arkham Knight game coming out that I'm really excited for. But the problem is, right, is where do you draw the line? And I've done this with Manton before with Civilization. I don't play any Civilization because of the last Civilization. It's
That's
about
why I
cutting
don't
off
play
the
Helldivers.
ideology
It's
so
a
it doesn't
beautiful
happen,
game, but
right?
I can't play Helldivers anymore.
Sometimes
for the
you
same
have
reason.
to sacrifice the things you love for the greater ideology.
I don't disagree. The guy that called in earlier, I don't know if you heard him, he sounded Jamaican to me, but that was sort of what we were talking about there, the need to boycott. And I know Avarice immediately, like within a week of the Charlie Kirk shooting, you called in, and that's one of the things we talked about. Something that you can actually do that makes a difference is you're like, no, you have to take this stuff more seriously. If you see someone that's a game developer that worked on a game that's out there celebrating the murder of Charlie Kirk, tough shit. Oh, look, here's another person calling in that you guys will know. Like,
yeah.
He's here to argue about Gundams. You know?
When he's here, he's here to talk about how R.A. Salvador is the best writer ever.
Look, we've already discussed this, but I actually disagree with what you're saying here, Avarice.
Yes.
That mirror. Well, it's the distinction between consumption of a product and supporting the people who created the product. So with the example that Manta gave of Civilization, imagine if somebody who's completely non-ideological gifts you Civ 6 on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Would it then be wrong to play it if you're giving them no money? I don't think it is.
Well, yeah. So here's the thing: you're adding to the ideology of the narrative, Mr. C. Right? When you play Civ 6, and this is what I'm trying to get at.
Not necessarily.
Well, hold on. You listen to those stories that they write in the Civilization, even if they're false narratives of Abraham Lincoln or Jefferson or whoever they may be. Those stories are highly radicalized and woke, and they start believing that that's what actually Lincoln does. Right. And it started, and I can even stem this from where it started from Civ 6. So, right. In even Civ 5, actually, Civ Revolution is where the whole thing started, if you really want to get to it. Right. But when you start subverting what these people actually did and you start softening the blow into LGBTQ ideology, now you have what we take throughout the process of just adding to it, whether in believing in what you're playing.
I think it's more simple than that, and we don't have to go into like a super. Well, obviously, Rob doesn't have time for us to go into like a super long thing, but Adam, I would say that yes, you still are technically supporting it, and here's how. It's actually super simple. if you get gifted a copy of the game from somebody who is non-ideological and they say it's a good game or whatever, does play in it support the developers? Yes, because if you're playing and 100,000 other people also got it gifted to them and they're playing, when somebody goes on to see if the game is popular to make a decision to support the developers or not, they see 100,000 concurrent players. You're now supporting them because you're giving it credence, you're giving it backbone, you're giving it population. So even if you're not spending money or anything like that, you are still furthering what they've got to other people who will then be supporting, or like Avarice is saying, learning in heavy air quotes.
I'll give you your last word, Adam. Then I got to get moving. I hear my wife stirring down there.
But we love you, Courtney.
She knows. That's the only reason people tune in.
I mean, I can't go into my full views on game and media consumption here because, well, Avarice and Mantid know what I like to do, and I can't explain it fully. But basically, all of this doesn't have anything to do with private consumption, which is kind of the point. It, like Mantid and Avarice's examples here, are all determined by somebody on the outside looking in. So if I were to obtain a .exe file that is Civ 6 and were to consume it that way, then there wouldn't really be an issue. The only real
100% agree. Yeah, you and I've talked about this at length multiple times.
I think we all have.
That's an outlier that I agree with for sure.
You find the CD laying in a gutter and you put it in, and no one knows you have it.
And Mystery is giving me shit for beating around the bush and not saying that.
Yeah, ho, fiddly dee.
Liquid Zulu lays it out very well in the previous videos.
What Adam's talking about is his hobby is that he likes to steal candy from children in Halloween. That's what he's referencing here.
Why don't you just leave us with a chair and we'll just debate this for a while. You can come back later. We'll still be here.
Yeah, we'll let your show run for the next 4 hours.
Listen though, like instantly I get back, like YouTube's like, your channel's been canceled. Terms of service violation from these 3 cretins.
Well, to be clear, there are just videos on YouTube which just openly support what I'm talking about, and they just say, "No, this stuff is just good. I just don't want to fly too close."
Of course,
I have seen. I will give credit to this. One of the best turnarounds in a debate was from Adam. He was in a debate in Debate Club with Corinth. And he came up with the most ridiculous rhetoric you'll ever hear in your life. It's not TOS friendly, so I can't say it here. But he correlated.
Tell me about it someday.
He correlated basically veganism with very bad shit, and it was one of the funniest fucking debates.
The ideology of the NSDAP. So the claim, I can say that. So the argument was, we ought not be vegan because that makes us closer to the NSDAP.
I'm coming.
Sorry.
I gotta go. My son's now yelling. I'm so sorry, guys. I have to go.
Kick all of us.
All right, we'll see you. 1, 2, 3. I promise we'll bring them all back on. Those guys are great. I keep telling you, like, poor Adam, man. You think I get talked over on these panels? Adam's one of the fucking smartest dudes I've ever talked to. Same with Mantid. Avarice not quite as smart, but makes up for it in raw charisma. Look at this shit, by the way. Unbelievable. James, $82.70 says missed it by that much. What an absolute Chad. And of course, we weren't going to make the goal there, but then our friend Tacit Tempo, $5 says, didn't catch you said it, but I agree. Consuming the media inoculates you to the ideas of the creators. Weakens your resistance, even if slightly. Avarice said it. And Avarice is actually a smart guy as well. They're all great guys. Happy to have met them through the Crucible. Anyways, Man, what? I knew it. I knew we'd make it at the end. You guys are the best. It's official, baby. We're having the pizza party for my kid and for my nieces here tonight. We're going to play board games, and we're not going to force them to just eat cheese pizza. We met the goal. We'll get toppings. Thank you guys so much. You guys are the best. Let me real quick raid over to someone. Hopefully someone cool streaming. I don't have time to mess around. I do want to thank everyone who donated tonight. I want to thank my editor, Black Elk. I want to thank all of my moderators. I appreciate you all. If you haven't already, give a like to the stream. We would appreciate that. Let's see. who is on? Anyone? Oh, our good friend Spiro is streaming. Let's raid over to him. He's not really Sam Altman's boy, so he doesn't have infinite money. He doesn't really like AI, so consider giving him a follow. Thank you guys so much. I gotta go. Please, 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 always keep in your memory the memory of Charlie Kirk, what the leftists did when they celebrated the heinous murder of him. So God bless Charlie Kirk and his family. Thank you all so much. I'll see you later. As always, have a good one. Go to church tomorrow.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.